1 or 2 minutes. Tonight's meeting. Is there a way to lower this a little? I feel like it's pretty loud. Okay, it's not that bad. I'm sure everyone will remain calm and no one will raise their voices tonight. We'll be okay. Let's get started. So good evening. My name is Silverman. I'm Vice President of Education Council 2. I'm calling this calendar meeting of CECD2 to order. I will now ask that the translators make their as well. Tonight's meeting.
各位有需要用国语翻译的家长，请到后面跟我们的同事拿翻译耳机。Thank you.
Buenas noches a todos. Soy Graciela Ministro López, intérprete del idioma español. Si alguno de los presentes quiere escuchar esta reunión en español, por favor, pasar a retirar sus dispositivos. Gracias.
Are still saying they can't hear. Do you?
No, I think because I put it close to the speakers. I think it should
Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Yes? All right. So my name is Rebecca Rosado, and I'm the Senior Director of Governance, the Office of Family and Community Empowerment. Before we begin tonight's council meeting, I would like to address a couple of important points to ensure a respectful and productive session. I'd like to thank the council for this opportunity. Firstly, I kindly ask all members of the audience and council to maintain decorum throughout the meeting. This includes refraining from interrupting speakers and fellow council members by shouting, cursing, or yelling as they are trying to speak. These actions interrupt and prolong the meeting and does not give each speaker the opportunity to be heard. Additionally, the safety of everyone in attendance is paramount, and as such, safety agents are on hand to support. Secondly, while the council's meetings are subject to open meetings law, which promotes transparency and public participation, we must also respect and safeguard the privacy of our youth participants. Therefore, while legally you are allowed to, we humbly request that no one records, no photographs students during the meeting. This measure is in place to protect their privacy while allowing them to freely engage in the public comment section and other proceedings. Thank you for your cooperation and understanding, and now I turn it over to the meeting chair to begin. Thank you.
Victor, they're saying people on Zoom can't hear Mike.
We're now going to call the roll call. Danielle will be kind enough to do that. I will say the names. Leonard Silverman is excused. She has a family emergency. Daniela Erberoff. Greg Stelskin, our president, is excused. He has a personal matter. Allison Bowen. Here. Gavin Healy. Charles Love. Not here. Maud Marin. Sonal Patel. Sarah Schacht Ehrenberg. Sabina Serenese. Here. Jessica Savage. Alexander Stone. We're going to mark her as excused for tonight. And Lila Jessen.
We have a quorum, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
We've already had our announcement of calendar, of our council's calendar meetings, norms, and expectations. I hope it'll be a decent meeting tonight with everyone showing civility to one another. Now, the next is the presentation of resolutions. We've received a request to withdraw resolution number 268, which is resolution calling on the New York State Department of Education to standardize grading rubrics across schools. So that resolution is withdrawn. The next resolution is resolution number 269, entitled resolution to affirm CECD2's support of unrevised CPS guidelines to support transgender and gender expansive students and rescind resolution number 248. Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of that resolution? Chair recognizes Councilmember Healy.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. Also, please let me know if on Zoom you're having any difficulty hearing me. I'll try to adjust as best I can. Actually, my mic sounds better than yours, then. So first of all, I just want to say that in any event, no matter what happens tonight, Resolution 248 is going to be used. It's only a matter of time. I'll keep introducing a resolution to rescind it, and I'll keep speaking out against it until it's rescinded, for as long as I'm on this council, every month. Because Resolution 248 was wrong in March 2024, and it's wrong now 13 months later. There's nothing neutral about it. There's nothing neutral about convening a review committee to decide whether some kids can hold on to the rights they already have or not. When this council voted to pass Resolution 248, it voted to open up a conversation about excluding and discriminating against a group of students. There's no way to have a polite conversation about discriminating against and excluding students. As long as Resolution 248 stands, it's a stain on this council, and it violates a promise we made to serve this community of students and families. It must be rescinded, and it will be rescinded. Thank you.
Want to try a different mic? 'Cause this one, I'm told this microphone is terrible.
Try this one too.
Okay, hopefully this one's a little better. It sounds a little better. Thank you. The next resolution we have on the agenda is resolution number 270, which is entitled Resolution in Opposition to Donald Trump's Executive Order Ending So-Called Radical Indoctrination and in support of culturally responsive and sustainable education. Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of or about resolution number 270? Chair recognizes Councilmember Healy.
Thank you for recognizing me again. Again, this is, I think, the third month we've talked about this resolution. But the executive order issued by the Trump administration on January 29th, titled Ending Radical Indoctrination in K-12 Public Schooling, seeks to eliminate all federal funding streams that directly or indirectly support discriminatory equity ideology in schools. The executive order defines discriminatory equity ideology to include, among other things, any ideology that the United States is fundamentally racist, sexist, or otherwise discriminatory. And the executive order's sweeping claims of radical indoctrination are almost entirely unmoored from reality of education in our classrooms. And the cudgel that the Trump administration is using against schools that continue to teach about racism and bias and true and accurate history and refuse to implement a program of so-called patriotic education is the elimination of federal funding. And so some people might say this is kind of an empty promise because, most of the DOE funding comes from the state and the city and not from the federal government. But actually, this is a very real threat that could strike at our most marginalized kids. Because while only about 5% of New York City's education funding comes from the federal government, those funds are targeted at some very specific initiatives that are designed to help our most marginalized students. There are things like free school meals, breakfast and lunch in our schools. They're funding for the Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act. It's Title I funding for our schools with many students falling below the poverty line. So these are things that impact our most vulnerable students. As a city and as a school system, we can certainly have debates about curriculum, but we should not be forced under an outside threat to our most vulnerable students to impose a curriculum on our schools. So I think we can talk about social studies curriculum, we can talk about history curriculum, but the attempt by the federal government to mandate a very narrow, flattened view of history teaching in local schools is authoritarian overreach. It should offend all of us as Americans. It offends me as a historian. And I think this resolution is important to express our opposition to that. So that's why we put this forward. Thank you.
Thank you. The next resolution is entitled Resolution Number 271, entitled Resolution Urging NYCPS to Protect Against Harassment of DOE Staff and Students Under Manual Control. Is there anyone that would like to introduce and speak about this particular resolution? Chair again recognizes Councilmember Healy.
Thank you for recognizing me again. So let me say about this resolution, as I think most of us know, New York City, actually New York City and Yonkers, I believe are the only two municipalities in New York State that are under a system of mayoral control. So we do not have a democratically elected school board with the authority to essentially hire and fire the chancellor. All of that authority lies with the mayor. We have a panel for educational policy that approves certain contracts, approves school utilization, mergers, closures. But the majority of the members of that panel are appointed by the mayor in his sole discretion. So the role of the mayor over our school system is very important. In January 2024, we did also discuss this issue of mayoral control. This council did not adopt a resolution seeking a review at that time, but I think the time is right now. And in fact, there's even more urgency around it now at this time in April 2025 to take another look at mayoral control. And that's what this resolution is asking for. It's not asking for an immediate repeal of mayoral control. It's asking for a chance to take another look at it and perhaps reform it. There's many forms that could take. It could take the form of, having a majority of the members of the panel for educational policy be, elected. It could take the form of requiring city council or state legislature approval to hire or dismiss a schools chancellor. So there's a lot of different forms it could take. But I think it's really apparent, particularly we have had a mayor who has been under federal indictment, and who essentially made a bargain with the Trump administration to try to weasel his way out of that indictment. And the bargaining chip he used was basically access for ICE to have access to a number of city institutions. The big bargaining chip was cooperation with a federal government that has shown itself time and again to not be interested in the rule of law, to not be interested in any kind of procedural nicety, to not be interested in due process. And we literally had the border czar, a man who has repeatedly, kidnapped and disappeared people. I'm speaking with the resolution. Thank you. Say that he will be up the mayor's butt. So we don't want Tom Homan up the mayor's butt when the mayor is in charge of our schools. And the urgency is even more sort of intense now, with the potential that our next mayor could possibly be a serial sex predator. Someone who has who has harassed multiple state employees and then used his office to cover up that harassment and retaliate against his victims. Would you want that man, Andrew Cuomo, a serial sex predator in a classroom with your children? Then we should not allow someone like that to be in sole charge of our school system. And so I think we really need to take another look at mayoral control. We really need to reiterate the protections that both students and teachers should have against harassment, particularly when we have a possibility that our next mayor could be someone who is very much not respectful of people, is not respectful of women and girls, is not respectful really of anyone's rights. So I think that's important that we revisit mayoral control at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the proposed bylaws change. Proposed bylaw revision relating to member attendance at meetings. Before we do that, I do want to just point out that it's my understanding President Slutskin has reached out to DOE Legal for a opinion as to the legality of this proposed bylaws change, and has not yet received a response. That being said, does anyone wish to briefly speak? The purpose is not to debate the resolutions or to debate the merits of the bylaws change. It's really to introduce it at this point. So does anyone want to speak briefly about the proposed bylaw revision? Okay. Chair recognizes Councilmember Sir.
Okay, can you hear me?
No, your mic's not on. Push it up.
Yep, okay. Excellent. We are introducing this amendment to the bylaws in order to establish clear expectations and guidelines for attendance by council members at our CEC meetings. One of the main roles of council members is voting on resolutions. You can't vote without quorum. We have had multiple CEC2 meetings during the 2023 to 25 term during which quorum was not reached and so voting couldn't occur. Just since last July, we lacked quorum for voting during 5 meetings. That's 5 out of 10 meetings, which is pretty sad. We've also had multiple meetings during which council members were considered present during the meeting despite leaving the meeting and breaking quorum, and thus preventing voting from occurring. The rules and the regulations that govern CEC2 council member duties clearly recognize the value of attendance to the extent that a council member who has 3 unexcused absences is deemed to have vacated their office. Right now, under the rules that govern attendance, a council member may be marked present during a meeting for attendance purposes as long as that member is present during roll call or arrives at any time during the calendar meeting. And because of that, a council member doesn't need to provide any reason for leaving or receive an excusal for leaving prior to voting, even when that breaks quorum and prevents the rest of us from being able to vote. So the way the rules and regulations are written, it allows council members to do an end run around the mechanism by which a council member can be deemed to have vacated their office due to unexcused absence. The bylaw amendment seeks to remedy that. I wouldn't think we need to make it explicit that a council member not abuse the loophole in our regulations, but it seems that we do. The abuse of this loophole has been found so profound that a letter was sent to our chancellor about it, signed by 2 members of Congress, the borough president, most of our state assembly members, senators, and city council members. We got a letter today addressed to all of us as council members from FACE, stating, quote, "We understand certain council members have left meetings prematurely without excuse because they wish to avoid voting on a particular resolution. These premature departures are improper. They prevent CEC from conducting required business. They have raised safety concerns." So the proposed bylaw amendment we're presenting would simply qualify what it means to attend a meeting in a manner that encourages our ability to vote on resolutions and hold our council members, all of us, accountable. It is disrespectful to council members who spend the time and effort to be here to abuse this loophole to prevent the entire board from being able to fulfill its obligations to the public. More importantly, it is disrespectful to our community who depend on us to fulfill our obligations as council members who have been voted on to be here and do a job instead of somebody else getting to sit up here and have that pleasure instead. And most importantly, it is disrespectful and it is harmful to the kids and families we're up here to serve when we repeatedly fail to do the simple act of showing up and staying put. Certainly, things happen to prevent us from being here, whether it's for the entirety of the meeting or just during voting, but we do owe it to our community to the very least provide a legitimate reason and proof of that reason if we can't fulfill our role. That's it.
Do any council members wish to be heard on proposed bylaw change? Just for members of the public, just so you know, in order to do a bylaws change, the change has to be introduced at one meeting and then voted on during a subsequent meeting. So there will also be an additional opportunity to have a debate or discussion on this prior to a vote, which will take place presumably at the next calendar meeting of our council. So, but right now, are there any other members who would like to be heard on this particular proposed bylaws change? Okay, moving on. Next item on our agenda is program presentations. We have the Office of Language Access. Who do we have here from the Office of Language Access? Okay. Could you just also just tell everyone in your introduction what exactly your office does? Thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead. Put the mic there. There. Put the mic there.
As we're waiting for this presentation to get started, there is a sign-up sheet. There is an official sign-up sheet. That's the way that we will go in terms of recognizing people who wish to speak. So if you are not on the sign-up sheet, we will not recognize your ability to speak here tonight. You need to be, you need to let us know that you do intend to speak. We need to have your name on the sheet, otherwise we're not going to call you. So this is your opportunity, if you haven't done so and wish to be heard during either our first or second public speaking session, there are two. Please sign up right now. Thank you. And for council members, I do have copies of this presentation that you should have gotten, that you should have in front of you, so you don't have to contort your head or turn in an uncomfortable position.
Try to see if.
My name is Robert Williams, and I am the External Outreach Specialist for the Office of Language Access. This PowerPoint that I'm going to show you is going to let you know how to navigate the schools.nlc.gov Hello website on how to request document translations or request an interpreter for your parent engagements. So on the agenda, we're going to talk about the New York City Public Schools background, our commitment to New York City Public Schools family, the schools.nlc.gov Hello webpage, raising awareness in our communities, and if there are any questions. So there are over 1 million students and over 1,600 plus schools that speak over 180 languages. Approximately 40% of New York City public school households speak a language other than English at home. And the New York City Public Schools' top 10 covered languages besides English are Arabic, Bangla, Cantonese, French, Haitian Creole, Korean.
We focus down a little more. Is it just me or is it out of focus?
It is. It seems out of focus.
Yeah, could we see if we could? Thank you.
French, Haitian Creole, Korean, Mandarin, Russian, Spanish, and Urdu. Written translations are also available in both traditional and simplified Chinese. The Office of Language Access is dedicated to supporting both New York City Public Schools staff and families by providing the resources necessary for effective communication in languages other than English. So here's a little brief snapshot of District 2's preferred languages. Besides our covered languages, we also have a portion of families that speak Japanese and a good portion of families that need American Sign Language. So we want to keep those families in mind when we are translating documents or requesting interpretation for our parent engagements. We have 3 large teams. Our largest team is our translation team, and they provide written translation services in the 10 non-English languages and works in close collaboration with our contracted vendor to extend services for languages beyond the capacity of our internal resources. Then we have our interpretation team, and they work with our contracted interpretation vendor to ensure schools receive services for in-person, virtual, and over-the-phone parent engagement. And we have our outreach and data integration team, and we focus on promoting equitable language access services to schools and empowering New York City Public Schools parents to understand and advocate for their language access rights. We also collaborate with advocates to identify needs and address language barriers in our ever-changing community. We engage parent leaders to enhance the message of language access to our community. We pursue innovative ways to engage with and receive feedback from parents, such as online portals, emails, robocalls, texts, direct callers. We leverage technology to continuously enhance the interpretation experience for families, such as virtual meetings. We ensure translation quality, such as professional translation tools, and we keep a pulse of citywide parent language data and translation and interpretation service outputs. The most language services include interpretation for all types of meetings and interactions with the New York City Public School staff, translation of general documents into the New York City Public Schools top covered languages, and some examples of those documents will include like a parent newsletter or event flyers, translation of individualized documents into a parent's preferred language upon request, and some example of those documents will include an IEP, which is an individualized educational program, Section 504 plan, which is a medical accommodation. Let's say if your child's having test anxiety after school, you will go to the school after school for the 504 plan, take that 504 plan to your primary doctor. If the doctor thinks that your child does have anxiety, and you bring that back to the school, and then your child can receive extra time on their test. And foreign translation, we translate foreign translation in any language, not just the top 10 covered languages. So when you visit the schools.nlc.gov hello webpage, you'll notice at the top right corner, there's a Google drop down. You just click on your preferred language, and then the entire website will translate into that language. But please note, automatic translations are not intended to replace human translators and are provided as a service to users of the website. Some content, such as images, videos, animations, etc., may not be translated due to the limitations of the translation software. So when you visit the schools.nlc.gov website, it's going to be a little short video to explain where you go to request translated documents or to have interpretation for your meetings. You'll notice also at the top right corner, there's the Google drop down, select your preferred language, and the entire website will translate into that language. Right underneath that video, the first tab is going to be helpful resources. You may print and cut out the IC card in 10 languages to request language services when communicating with the New York City Public School staff. Language access for New York City Public Schools families brochure advises families of the availability of language assistance services. You may also request one at your school. And also underneath this tab, you'll find health forms and notices, special education and early childhood communications, and also enrollment forms. Let's say you want to learn more about the language access for New York City Public Schools families brochure. You just click on that link. This is how the brochure looks. You're gonna notice at the bottom, whichever language you speak, you just cut out that portion, bring that portion to your school, and the school must provide communication in that language. Let's say you notice on the brochure that your language is not listed. There's a blank portion as well. Just write in what your language is, same concept, cut that portion out, bring that portion to your school, and the school still must provide communication in that language. The next tab will read Request Language Services. Families may complete the translation and interpretation service request form to request language services. The New York City Public School Office of Language Access will forward your request to the appropriate school, office, or committee on special education. But please note, language assistance services may vary depending on the type of school that your student attends. Families can also call 311 to make a request for language assistance services. Over the phone interpretation is available in over 200 languages. Let's say you want to click on the translation and interpretation service request form. On the left is a little snapshot of how the form looks. But before you come and fill out this form, please go to your school first for support. They are your direct support for any language services. In the event that there's a staff member who may have just started and they're not aware of the services, then you can come here, fill out the form. And the process will be, once you fill out the form, I'll receive a notification in my inbox. I will forward that to the principal, the parent coordinator, and whoever is the language access coordinator of that school. The language access coordinator can be a parent coordinator, guidance counselor. It's whoever the principal designates to be the language access coordinator. This form is available in 10 covered languages. And we also provided a QR code for those who would like to just scan with their phone. The very next tab will be Connect with OLA. If you or someone you know needs help receiving information or communicating with a school staff member in the language other than English, please tell your school's principal, parent coordinator, call 311, or you can visit the Contact OLA form. Let's say you want to click on the Contact OLA form. On the left, it's a snapshot of how the form looks, and it's the same process. If you fill it out, I forward it to the principal, parent coordinator, and whoever is the language access coordinator of that school. This form is also available in the 10 covered languages, and we also provided a QR code. The next tab underneath that will read, Share your experience with the New York City Public School Language Assistance Services. You may also provide feedback on the New York City Public Schools language services by completing our translation and interpretation survey feedback, or you can do so by calling 311. Let's say you want to leave a feedback through our form. On the left is a snapshot of how the form looks, and it's the same process. Now, you're leaving a feedback. We don't want to just hear what the school is not doing to provide support for you. We want to hear some of the good things as well, so we can ask that school to model for other schools, because as you all know, it takes a village. Again, this is available in our top covered languages. We also provided a QR code. Now, for sign language interpretation services, we ask that you please contact your school's parent coordinator, or you can email them at oslis@schools.nyc.gov. This is a separate office. They are not with our office. It's a total separate office. And the last tab will read, are you having difficulties obtaining language assistance services? If you are, you can click on the Get Help or click on the File a Complaint. If you click on this file a complaint, it does not come to our office. This goes directly to the district. This is a formal complaint. We have done some advertisement in schools, grocery stores, laundromats, near hair barber salons, pharmacies, and what's not on here, we have done advertisement in the MTA train stations and on the MTA buses. We have done direct parent outreach through robocalls, emails, text messages, and postcards like the one you see on the right. If you are saying you have not received one or any of these direct outreach, please go to your school, make sure that all your information is updated, because we pull from the same system that schools enter your information in. As you know, we tend to change phone numbers or move, or just make sure all your information is updated. With that being said, are there any questions from the panel?
Do any council members have any questions regarding this presentation? Go ahead, please.
In terms of outreach, are you doing outreach to public services, HRA, those offices have it now?
Sorry, you gotta talk louder. Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
You normally
Are you
say
doing,
loud.
is there outreach and advertisements sent to public service, social services agencies and things like that? I can tell you no, I work for one, so please send them out to HRA and HRA contract agencies. I'm happy to contact you directly and send you some addresses.
Thank you.
All right.
I'll go anywhere that I'm invited.
No, I just need the flyers. We just need to we have parents.
Well,
coming all the
any-
time. We'd love to make sure that they have access to their,
Yes, HRA has not been on our radar, but as a good one, if, I'll leave my email, you can send me an email, and then we can start that process. Thank you. Any other questions?
Sono? Question? Did that mic get disconnected or? I hear it now. Yeah, I just heard it.
I'm just curious how the language access coordinators for each school are designated, who holds those positions? Is it one person per school who sits at that school, or are there multiple schools assigned to particular positions?
So, the language access coordinator is designated by the principal. We suggest that it's a team effort, because whoever you designate, whether it's the parent coordinator or ENO teacher, they have their own other job duties to do. Language access coordinator is extra work, and it's kind of hard for that to be done just by one person. So we suggest that it's a team effort. And I've seen mostly up to 10 language access coordinators in one school. And also I've seen there's one language access coordinator. So it depends on the principal. So we suggest it be a team.
Yeah, I had a question.
Yeah, I had a question.
Before you posted that list
Before
of
you
preferred
posted that list of
languages,
preferred languages, and obviously,
it starts with
you know,
English.
it starts with English and it goes to various other languages.
Do you know what
breakdown of those other languages or other preferred languages the parents might be bilingual?
Also speak English?
And also speak English, for
Yes,
example?
we have that breakdown. It just is too much to put on one form that we have. So we have a data team that actually just got into this school year. We have created that, and trying to put every language on that form, but it was too jumbled and it didn't look right. So they did the top 10. Now, if anyone who would like to know other languages, I can provide that for them.
In terms of like
But in terms of like other people that have a preference, for example, for Spanish, but we know what percentage of parents who put down a preference for Spanish might also speak.
Yeah, I can provide that as well. It's just too much to put on.
Do you have any like?
Do you have any idea?
No, I'm not in the data
Just curious.
department. I'm in the outreach department. This is what I do. I come out and present. I'm in the data
I
department.
won't ask you any math questions.
I won't ask you any math questions, I promise. Okay, thank you. Any other council members have questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Any questions for audience?
No, it doesn't work that way, but thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
The next item on our.
Okay, the next item on our
is
agenda
our first
is
public
our
speaking
first
session.
public speaking
Victor, can I
session. Victor,
Please just let us know
can you
how
please
many
just
people
let
have
us know
signed
how
up.
many people have signed up?
Okay, we're gonna take a
We're
minute.
gonna take a
to
minute and
sort
sort this out because we have to determine
limits.
time limits.
While we're doing that,
And while we're doing that, I just want to be absolutely clear.
If someone
If
is speaking,
someone is
please kindly
speaking, please kindly
that speaker
give that speaker
the
the courtesy of refraining from any comments, any
disruption. Not
disruption.
only includes
Disruption
making
not only
noises,
includes making noises,
doing things while the speaker
doing
is
things while the speaker is
also
talking. It also
includes
includes standing near the speaker, coming up,
between the speaker and the
getting
audience.
between the speaker and the
Let's try to be
audience.
adults tonight.
Let's try to be
We may
adults
not agree
tonight.
with what
We
everyone
may not
says,
agree
but
with
let's
what
try to
everyone's, but
let people say what
let's
they
try
want
to
to
at
say.
least what they
And
want to
hopefully we
say.
get out of here
And
without
hopefully we
any,
get out of here without any,
major disruptions tonight.
any major disruptions tonight. So,
Again, I understand your point.
again, I understand your point, and if council members,
Again,
again,
it's not being hard to
people
say.
are, it's
So
not about
one
to
of our
say,
council
so
members
one of our council members
has
requested that we make an announcement to council
pay
members,
attention to the
pay
speaker.
attention to
And
the
I
speakers.
can't-
Again, I
The
can't,
chair can't
the chair
control.
can't control, council members just,
Council members are just.
council members are just
obligated by their own
conscience
whatever they
and
choose to follow.
whatever they
Yeah.
choose to follow.
There's
Again,
no rules.
there's no
It's
rules.
what it is.
It is
So-
what it is, so.
Well, I hope we'll all be.
I hope we'll all be
Does that
adults.
work?
How's that? Does
I
that
hope-
work?
I hope the council.
I hope the council members,
I hope
council members and audience and people in the audience can be adults.
With that
And
being
with
said,
that being said,
please
please just
refrain
refrain
from,
from making any comments. 28. How much? One that's not short. So what would that be, about an hour? No,
It's gonna be
let's
more.
go a minute. Let's go a minute. We've got around, we have around 40 speakers signed up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go for a minute and a half. We're gonna try a minute and a half now. And we'll see how. And that also is gonna be dependent on you guys and whether or not there's gonna be disruptions. If a speaker is disrupted, I want to be absolutely clear that speaker will be permitted additional time equal to the amount of time that the speaker is disrupted. So that message is going to come out one way or the other. So with that being said, I'm going to call the names here. And I would just ask Daniela to do the time. Your time will commence from the moment you start speaking. First speaker is, if I mispronounce your names, let me know. It looks like Annabelle Ruggiero, followed by Joe Vitale, and then Jay Epstein. And after that, we're gonna have Erin Carr, and then Tara Lewis. So if you've heard your name called in the first couple people I've mentioned, just kind of get ready to follow up. So first speaker, Annabelle.
Hello, everyone. So back at February's meeting, my first CEC meeting, I had hoped that I could share my expertise and highlight the importance of resolutions 269 and 270. However, before voting, Pri Bokhari and Daniela Egorov got up in the middle of the meeting and left. The board was reduced down to 6 members and lost quorum. Last month, I still had some hope. That meeting started off with correcting several prior absences to excused absences. Funny how there's a willingness to rescind prior absences, but not a resolution 248. This rewriting of history was followed by reintroducing last month's resolutions. During this, Daniela Egorov left the meeting. After the first round of speakers, right as the discussion of 269 started, Maud Barron and Allison Bowen left the meeting. Charles Love left shortly after. Earlier today, ACE sent the CECD2 board an email about the sudden losses of quorum. There's a particular section of interest I'll highlight. All CEC members took an oath to faithfully discharge the duties of the Office of Community Education Council member according to the best of their abilities. The duty of CEC members include attending monthly meetings, the superintendent hears the public speak so that parents in the community have a voice informed to air their concerns. Furthermore, under CECD's bylaws, it is the responsibility of each council member to attend all regularly scheduled calendar and working class business meetings of the council. Voting for the next CEC term starts in 2 days. For those who can vote, I have a call to action. We encourage you to develop your fellow parents and guardians to vote. As you cast your votes, remind them of both the failures and successes of the current board members. Please give us hope for a better 2 years.
Thank you. Next speaker is Joe Vitale.
Hello, today I'm dedicating my speech to athlete Stephanie Turner, who took a knee instead of having to compete a male athlete in her sport. So I'm dedicating my speech here today to Stephanie Turner, and I am again supporting Maud Maron's resolution 248, and I am again opposing resolution 269 and opposing resolution 270. And since Gavin has threatened to keep on the Frankenstein way, reiterating opposition to 248, which has passed, I will continue to oppose whatever permutation his resolutions take that oppose resolution 248. My sign for people who cannot see on Zoom, and there's a lot going on that people cannot see on Zoom, and I expect the trans mafia behind me to be conducting their usual foolery. My sign says CIS equals can't imitate sex. The trans mafia are not the victims here, although they pretend to be. The hypocrisy of the trans mafia is astounding. They claim to be for body rights, but aggressively block Maud Maron's and Allison's exit last meeting. They are always demanding that panelists look them in the eye, but the trans mafia do not control people's eye movements. People can look wherever they want to look.
Can you wrap it up, please?
Yes, really the only thing that the trans mafia are about when it comes to the body is body mutilation in terms of puberty blockers and the surgical removal of body parts. This is not just coming out of anywhere. It's a result of the medical pharma push and the medical pharma agenda to pathologize puberty. Everyone with common sense on this panel, please stay strong.
Thank you. Next speaker is Jay Epstein, and I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly.
Hold off a minute.
Can you hold off a minute, please?
Can the members of the audience?
Can the members of the audience please just keep it down? Thank you.
I am supporting Maud Maron's resolution 248 in the name of sanity. My child was a lonely high school student who had some issues, and she was groomed by the gender people. She missed out on a typical week because of this Franklin cult. Enough already with babies on a million genders and wrong sex hormones and mutilating surgeries. Please instead join with parents to support young people and accept them for who they are as individuals. Let them grow up, let them develop. All the animosity against parents just trying to raise our children is having a huge effect. Our group just received a violent graphic death threat last week. We are frightening parents from taking an active role in their children's schools. How is that good? Gender theory should not be taught in school. Children have parents for a reason. Until the age of 25, children and young people are still developing mentally, physically, and emotionally. Let's leave the kids alone and give them the gift of time to be children. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Erin Carr. And then after Erin, we're going to have Tara Lewis, and it looks like Jess, and I can't make out the row, followed by Elizabeth Murray. Erin, please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Erin Carr. I'm a resident of Council District 2 and a parent of a student at NYU and a second grader at PS 41. I'm going to keep this brief. With the CEC2 making headlines in the past year, I decided to watch the recordings of nearly every CEC2 meeting from this current term. I have been deeply disturbed by the behavior of some council members. Watching these recordings has been illuminating. The camera has captured when you roll your eyes, when you refuse to look at parents and students who have come to speak, when you abruptly leave mid-meeting to prevent a quorum, when you display blatant disrespect for other council members and the community you were elected to serve. Frankly, it is unacceptable. And I'm not alone. And we see you. We see you. Regarding tonight's resolutions, I would like to voice strong support for Resolution 269, which every single District 2 parent I have spoken to in the last 2 months, which has been a lot, supports. Resolution 248 has been and continues to be a blight on this district and does not accurately reflect our values. Further, that resolution has derailed this council where you are not focusing on education and student-centered decisions. Additionally, I am in full support of resolutions 270 and 271, which, given the rollback of federal restrictions, are vital to ensuring our students' best interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Harold Lewis. If you speak closer to the mic. Oh.
Push the
mic.
mic.
Push the microphone up.
Hello? Yes. Okay. So my name is Sarah Lewis. I was at the last meeting, and I left the meeting feeling sick. And I was reminded of times in my childhood when I stood at the sidelines while bullies beat children in front of me. And that's how I felt. Those feelings came up, and I've had a month to reflect on those feelings. I don't really care whether you like or dislike trans people, but if you separate people into categories, you are creating an environment that is conducive to bullying. And I do not want bullying in my community or in my school. The next ones in the line of fire are IEP students. The rhetoric that is happening is going after our neurodivergent autistic children. And Einstein is a neurodivergent autistic child. And I would like for my child to be in the same classroom with Einstein. I do not want any child bullied in school. And when you separate children, you create an environment where it's much more likely. And I can't, any policy that's being decided for children by adults, that needs to be the thing at the forefront of our thinking. Is this policy conducive or not to bullying? Because bullying is the worst possible thing that can happen to any child, and it is particularly bad for the bully.
Thank you. Next, we have Jess Rowe. And then we have Elizabeth Murray, followed by, looks like Tamara Reed.
Good evening, CEC2, long-time listener, first-time caller. My name is Jess Rowe. I'm a father of a trans high school student and a queer high school student in the New York City public schools. I'm a professor at NYU. I'm an English professor. I study language and literature, and let me tell you something about transphobia. Transphobia, which is the ideological purpose to which this council has been bent by a certain member who is seeking higher office. Transphobia is fantasy. It invents a problem that doesn't exist. It invents a past that never existed. Transphobia is fascism. Fascism is the politics of fantasy and fear. Transphobia is violence, the deployment of violence against a minority for the purpose of obtaining political power. That's what transphobia is. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Elizabeth Murray, And Elizabeth is going to be followed by Tamara Reed.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Murray. I am a parent in District 2. I have also been watching online. I'm here in such strong support of Resolution 269 and 270 and the general idea of inclusivity, which is what makes our country strong and it's what makes our city strong. I was born on the bicentennial of our country. I was grown up in Lexington, Massachusetts, where the first shot of the revolution was fired. I believe in America, and America believes that everyone has the same rights, no matter what their sexual orientation, how they identify. If you are here, you are one of us. If you can walk fast and keep moving on the streets, you are a New Yorker. I want to remind the council members that you are elected officials. Elected officials serve a community. I do not feel that you are listening to the community you serve with the way this year has gone, and it gives me great shame that this is happening in my city. I hope things will improve.
Thank you. Next, we have Tamara Reed. Tamara Reed. All right, then we have Shannon P. Oh. Geez, give me a second. And then after Shannon, we'll have Kerry Keenan.
So I'd like to talk about the so-called radical gender guidelines announced in Resolution 248. And so I'm going to talk about family, my family, specifically my aunt, an 89-year-old trans woman, founder of Transgender Studies, National Women's Hall of Fame inductee, and cherished, well-known advocate. Her work has helped thousands across the global trans community to stay united, inspired, and fucking alive. But her advocacy almost didn't happen because not only did a group of TERFs try to assassinate her during a lecture in the 80s, but high school almost killed her too. In 1952, she asked her New York City public school principal to be in PE with the girls. She was denied. She asked for a course waiver. She was denied. The abuse and harassment that she was subjected to as a result was horrific. No child should have to endure that. She dropped out of 9th grade, suicidal ideations began, the attempts began, the family watching her around the clock began. And if it hadn't been for her family's support, I wouldn't be here tonight talking about her. But not all trans kids are lucky enough to have a support system at home, so school is where they find it. So when members of this council have called gender guidelines radical, I have to laugh. My aunt asked for these same protections in 1952. The guidelines were introduced in 2019. There's nothing radical about a wait time of nearly 70 years for our schools to realize what the trans community has always known, that inclusion saves lives. Rescind 248, please.
Karen.
Hi, y'all. My name's Shannon. Y'all know me. I'm here to do my face heel turn and come out in support of 248. And I get confused from the French mafia. Yes, perfect, perfect. Conservatives are under attack in this country. We may have the office of the president, the Supreme Court, and Congress, but we don't have full control yet. And that makes me feel attacked as a conservative American. Targeting a vulnerable population is a safe and easy way to build our base. To quote the Wizard of Oz, or Wicked, the best way to bring folks together is to give them a real good enemy, and trans people are a real good enemy. This transgender menace must be stopped. If we allow the madness to continue, trans people might want to go on to have jobs, make art, have families, or start businesses. I don't want my local pharmacy to be run by queer people. I don't see them holding hands on the street. It's bad enough to see them during June. Now they want to exist year round, not in my backyard. I think it's important that we target trans youth in particular. So again, a quote from Wicked, one of the benefits of caging an animal this young is that it will likely never learn to speak. And of course, we know that trans kids become trans adults. If we train vulnerable people not to speak early and often, then we can go on to win elections and create an America that's good for us conservatives. Just us conservatives. We've been at this a year now. If we repeal now, people might think that we're empathetic, understanding that we're responsive to a public that shows up month after month to speak out about this. And that would play badly with our conservative base. And we wouldn't want that to affect any future political plans. CEC2 is, after all, well known as a political step stool for some.
You wrap it up, please. Thanks.
In short, keep 248 on the books so we real Americans can win elections and make sure we don't have to deal with queer people. They're icky, and I, a conservative American, feel attacked about it. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Perry Keenan.
My name's Carrie. I'm a mom of 2 girls who have been D2 students at 4 different schools over the last 15 years. I'm here to say, one of whom, by the way, has an IEP, and one of them is trans. I'm going to take a little extra time because this is hard for me. I just want you to know that despite your best efforts, my trans daughter is thriving, and she's thriving because she has a loving and affirming family, friends, and teachers. She FaceTimed me today, and I told her she looked beautiful, and she said, I know. Please vote no on Resolution 268. It's particularly appalling that you would call on the superintendent to override whatever the decision of the DOE is, so that your kids can somehow get into the screen schools that they need to get into. Yes, on Resolution 269, stop using our kids as wedge issues to get attention for yourselves. Start listening to the people who are here and who you are supposed to represent, and rescind Resolution 248. Yes, on Resolution 270. Diversity, equity, and inclusion make our kids better people. And there is evidence that it improves educational outcomes, which is what you are supposed to be working on.
Could you wrap it up, please?
Unless it's just trans kids, I guess. You're supposed to protect the vulnerable kids. Yes, on Resolution 271, if you want to protect all women, like you say you do, this should be a no-brainer. And I also support the proposed bylaw revisions. Your behavior on this council is shameful. Last month's votes to amend minutes was ridiculous and probably illegal. Craig Sutton should be removed.
Just wrap it up.
Vote them out.
Okay, so next we have Michael. I can't really make out that name if it's Tarvella. Okay. Jules C. And that's going to be followed by Adele M and Shannon P. That's what I thought. Okay, so we're going to cross you off.
I know, I can't follow that. Hi, everyone. April's National Poetry Month, so I wrote a little poem for y'all. There once was a council in District 2 who said they want help with what to do on fields and courts. We just care about sports. So you made it clear that that's not real true. You see, you ignore facts and more facts, not listen when we say your group lacks the love and the care for the students who dare to say they need y'all to have their backs. And trans kids deserve what kids all do. That's access to learning and sports too. Ignoring the recs about gender versus sex and endangering all kids, just why would you? So that I just hope y'all vote correctly. And again, we're coming here too.
Thank you. We have Adele M, and then we're gonna have Henry G, followed by Mina R. Yes, Adele M. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Adele M. They, she, and I'm a non-binary parent of a so far cis kid who's in 2nd grade. And I wanted to say that he's gender questioning at this moment, but he's always questioning gender ever since he found out about it. And I hope that's a conversation we keep having forever, because the forces of cis heteronormativity are strong out there and in here. And I'm sure any parent or person who knows kids in this room, which you all do, can agree that one of the most amazing things about kids is how they always question the status quo and therefore force us to question things like the gender binary that we have been socialized into thinking are normal. I don't know anything about your kids, and I don't need to. I care about them because they're kids. I don't know if they're cis or not, and you may not know either. Given your actions and inactions here, I want you to take a moment to think about how it will feel if one day you have the privilege of any of your kids coming out to you as trans or genderqueer. On the flip side, if they are and never feel safe to come out to you. Are the consequences of your actions here worth it when you consider how they will affect your own children and your relationship with them? And I'm sorry that Craig's not here, because for those of you who like to weaponize anti-Semitism somehow in favor of other discriminatory practices, Jew to Jew, don't forget that Nazis ushered in the Holocaust by trying to erase trans people, including burning trans books. That is now your legacy.
Could you wrap it up, please? Thanks.
It's wrapped.
So we have Henry G, Nina R, and then we have Augie. Okay, so we have Henry G. So if you do hear your name, please, if you can just. And then we have Nina R, and then we're gonna have Augie, and then looks like Bex. That's the order.
All right. Hello, my name is Henry Grace. I'm a genderqueer student at Stuyvesant High School. I doubt most of you do, but you should be aware of the Lemkin Institute of Genocide Prevention and Human Security. Raphael Lemkin coined the term genocide in the midst of the Holocaust. Recently, on March 13th, the Lemkin Institute issued a red flag alert to the anti-trans agenda of the Trump administration, the same agenda that some members of this board serve. In this warning, they write, Trump's executive orders begin the process of removing a trans presence from collective life and preventing trans people from existing as themselves, forcing them back into invisibility and isolation. This attack on trans identity is reminiscent in the U.S. context of the Native American boarding school, where the goal was to kill the Indian and save the man. Not only would this effort deprive trans Americans of gender-forming care, constitute a form of torture and medical malpractice with terrible mental health repercussions, but also such measures are common phase in genocidal processes and generally lead to ever greater prosecution. I'm not sure how to left, so I'm going to skip the end and go back. Rescind Resolution 248 and stand up in Trump administration's attacks on education. Furthermore, they also write, research does not support the idea that trans athletes have an unfair advantage over other athletes of the same gender, nor does it support the allegation that trans people pose a threat when they face a gender-phobic bathroom. There's absolutely nothing to support the claim that the anti-trans voices in and around the U.S. government. Trans people have always existed and are completely ordinary Americans, no different in any fundamental way from other Americans of human race. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Nina R.
Hi guys, I'm the aforementioned trans child. I am almost 18. I'm a high schooler here at Lab High School, right upstairs. I'm gonna pull up my notebook. The moral of the story, and I just wanted to remind all of you that I am a trans child. I came out probably like 3 years ago, question mark. I'm an organizer for a group called NYC for Trans Rights, and I'm also here today with support from Aunties and Friends for Liberation and Transsexual Men NYC, represent. But as a trans kid who has gone to school in District 2, PSC Elementary School, I'm here now, I would just like to say that having a quote-unquote rogue school that accepts me, having a school that makes space for me is vital. And I just committed to college, I'm going to Holyoke, woohoo. And I would like you all to know that as a trans child who has been supported unconditionally throughout my entire high school career, I did not get a single rejection, not even one. I am thriving I am doing so amazing. I'm surrounded by loving and fantastic people. I am making fantastic connections. I work in restorative justice in the DOE program. It's great. I recommend y'all look it up. I am doing so much for my community. I'm doing so much for myself. I am so, so happy, and I would not be happy without the support of other adults in my community, because when you don't support trans kids, they're not going to grow up, they're not going to become adults, they're not going to become cis adults or trans adults, they won't be adults at all, right? Okay? You need to support trans kids because then they will become amazing people like me, and it's fabulous. The end.
Audrey? Then we have Bex, and then we're gonna have Mitch S. and Carrie K.
I never know where to look. We all stand on opposite sides. Warning, this actually might help my anxiety. Warning, this story may be upsetting, so if you don't like transphobia, I imagine hopefully that would be most of us, might want to distract yourself. A community education council board is meant to serve the community, and the community has come out. Teachers, parents, families, friends, and New Yorkers from every district have shown up. And now the board wants to complain that they have to listen to their constituents because trans kids playing sports isn't a big deal, right? Language isn't a big deal, right? This isn't a big deal, right? Yesterday, my friend Chloe was attacked. You might know her as a beautiful, tall, well-spoken musician and educator. Her partner and her were physically assaulted not once, but twice yesterday because of their identities. When you use dehumanizing language for people, you start to view those people as less than human. That's what dehumanizing means. It means reducing a person to a body part, an amount of hormones, to a number. And when you reduce someone to less than a person, you make it okay to treat them like less than a person. If you want to hurt a kid in my town, you have to go through me, and you have to go through the aunties and friends. And if you're so upset about people calling you a bigot, then do something about it. Because if I had a nickel for every transphobic thing I saw or read or heard, I could run for office. Why don't you care when we tell you you're subjecting us to violence, but we're supposed to feel bad for hurting your feelings?
Thank you. Okay, so we have Bex,
Then
Mitch S., and then Carrie K.
Hi, my name is Bex. I'm a New York City resident. I'm a community organizer, a former educator, a trans person, and I was a gender nonconforming teen. I'm also the proud grandchild of educators. All 4 of my grandparents were public school teachers. My grandfather, who is now 87, and I'm a caregiver for, was a high school guidance counselor for over 40 years. He was also a qualified candidate for superintendent of Orange County, New York. When I told him about the transphobic, racist, and classist resolutions that were being passed by New York City's largest school district, he had this to say. In my years working with students, I have found the top predictor of a young person's success in school and beyond is the support they receive from parents, teachers, and their community. You are part of this community. He went on to express concern that a mismanaged council of elected officials that aims to exclude students for any reason is not a group of people that care about the futures of students. My grandfather now lives in rural New York, community bordering Pennsylvania and New Jersey. He has met less than 5 trans people in his life, but it is his experience advocating for the educational inclusion and success of minority students, specifically poor and immigrant students, that compels him to say this. Rescind Resolution 248 for the success and safety of New York students. Thank you.
Mitch S.
No. So, I am a first-time dad of District 2 middle schooler, 7th grade. Growing up, his interests included like construction, dinosaurs, space, and after a bit locked in on sports, mostly baseball, also like football and ping pong to some extent. Now, I grew up as a bookworm. Fantasy, mostly sci-fi, which I still read. And raising a son who's a sportsman has been a challenging adjustment. I mean, I was not emotionally prepared for the anxiety of watching him at bat or physically prepared for the broken glasses or the just physical exhaustion of carting him around places. But I got familiar with what was necessary, and I learned, and I adjusted. Often I learned from him directly. And so I grew. I can kind of throw a spiral pretty decently. I can almost pitch a little. It's wobbly. And I can score a baseball game start to finish without missing a pitch accurately. Now, this was all different and scary and a big adjustment for me, but learning about it expanded my world. It got me to understand things I wasn't familiar with. I exhort for you to not cave to fear, to also let your world expand. Approve 269, rescind 248, let all the kids play. And with all due respect, let's go Cyclones.
We have Terry K, followed by, it looks like
Michael J.
Michael J and Baz. If I just mention your name, if you could kind of get in.
Could you repeat the name?
Sure, we have Terry K, then we have Michael. Okay. Right.
And Michael J.
Michael J, okay. And then we have Baz. Baz, sorry.
And then the next one.
And then after that, we have Noah Williamson. And if you could lower the mic.
I know how short I am. So my partner is a graduate of Stuyvesant. Thank you. Into the mic, right? Thank you. They're a graduate of Stuyvesant. They are working tonight. They are working in a hospital department for gender affirming surgery, and they support the following message. So in February, Len, he said, "Let's cut the BS. I'm abstaining." And I was like, what's more BS than abstaining? He also asked the superintendent if resolution 248 even holds weight. So I was like, okay, so if it doesn't hold weight, then why are we abstaining for months, over a year? So wait, why are we abstaining on something that has no weight, right? Then that's where everyone abstains. People who have spoken in favor of rescinding 248 since I started coming here many, many months ago, just to give you an idea, everyone an idea, all the parents at home too. So people who have spoken, parents, both of trans kids and who don't have trans kids, a hate crime survivor, doctors, teachers, a terminally ill student, both scientists, athletes. Did I say students already? Many students, all in favor of rescinding 248. So I'm just like, what more? What else? What else do you need? And these are all people referred to as the trans mafia. So that's students and parents that are the trans mafia for whatever reason. And yeah, so I think, I don't know what information you need to at this point, but I'd say either own your bigotry or align yourself. Like you don't have my pity. Sorry.
Thank you. Noah Williamson, and then after Noah, it looks like Achilles G, and then Joe N.
Hi, everyone. I'm Noah. Can you all hear me okay? I'm actually really mostly speaking to the audience, but it seems like I have to face this way. Like many of you, I've seen some pretty wild things at these CEC meetings. I've seen some members using their position on this council to bully trans kids, and I've seen some members defending them. I've seen some members working to desegregate our schools, and I've seen a member throw a literal temper tantrum in response. And I've seen the community come together to share their feedback, only to be ignored by the majority of council members who have repeatedly refused to rescind Resolution 248. Something I'll never forget seeing is watching a mother speak to this board through tears
only to have Maud ignore her and look at her phone. And I've seen way less voting than I was expecting to see when I first started coming to these meetings a year ago. Because of the antics of a few council members who have been preventing the CEC from maintaining quorum. Any place I've worked that would get you fired, that's just so unprofessional. I think the parents of District 2, many of whom are too busy to come to these meetings every month or have heard about how ridiculous they are, deserve to know all these things that we've seen. And I, for one, am extremely excited to go out there and tell them. If you would like to join me, all of the other volunteers with Aunties and Friends for Liberation to go out canvassing, then come see me or someone else with a rainbow ribbon. We're here to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Achilles D and then Joe N. And then we're gonna have Danielle B, looks like Michael L or
Michael L.
Michael L, and then Elijah Ted. Elijah.
Everyone can hear me? Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to say that the city that you are representing as people on this council is New York City. And New York City was a city founded on diversity, on the beauty of humanity, on people of all different types of people, including trans people and especially trans kids. If you don't respect those values that are fundamental to what makes the city the prosperous city that it is, then you do not represent New York City. New York City is wonderful and weird, and we mind our business and we keep it moving, and we respect people for who they are. And New York City is one of the best educational environments out of the country. We have some of the strictest educational requirements for both schools and homeschools, and part of what makes New York City's educational system amazing, besides our wonderful teachers, hey, for the educators in the audience. System so wonderful is the fact that we also value the safety and well-being of the students as well as the academic aspects. That's why you have such strict regulations on homeschooling and private, and we have such strict regulations on how you treat the students. And Section 248 violates basic student rights and violates everything that New York City stands for. And I don't believe that anyone who supports such a resolution should be allowed to work at the New York City Education Council. If you want to move to Iowa or Texas or Florida, that sounds like where you belong, then you should respect the values of New York City. You can look, because if you don't like it, you can leave. Please withstand Section 248 now.
Yeah, Joanne.
Hi, my name is Joe. I just want to say I don't remember who said this, but for the trans mafia thing, as a Sicilian trans person, thank you. So I am a transgender non-binary District 75 teacher, and I apologize. I know there's at least one person here who has heard this story before. I'm not trying to change anyone's minds. I know a few months ago I said the same thing, whatever. I just want to share this story. So I was teaching kindergarten and first grade a few years ago, and we had some class pets which were earthworms. And one of the things the kids learned about the worms is that they are neither male nor female. I'm sorry that the woke agenda got to the earthworms 500 million years ago. Can't help it. But anyway, so sometime later, one of my students asked me, "Are you a boy or a girl?" Looking like this, I get that question from kids a lot. And I'm used to it. And I started to go, well, actually, I'm kind of not either. And the kid said, "Oh, just like a worm," and then walked away and kept playing. And I share this story to say this trans panic has nothing to do with children. Children are not bothered by trans people, whether they're cis or trans or no other cis or trans people. It doesn't matter. This is something that y'all made up. So enjoy it, I guess.
Danielle B and Michael L and then Elijah.
So I just want to point out that what is on the stage is a picture of two different worlds, right? You've got everybody who can see their eyes, right? They're looking down.
And you have people who are dressing and actually giving respect to people by looking them in the eyes. Okay, so just as a heads up, that's what we're dealing with here. And Joe, I just want to point out, I am also Sicilian, and I took the words right out of my mouth. Okay, so my name is Danielle Bullock. I'm a the high school art teacher. I'm an out queer parent, and I'm a very, very proud parent of a trans son who was a District 2 student. He graduated about 2.5 years ago. It's really hard to believe that we're still here. And actually, I'm going to talk to you all because you're looking at me. So let's do that because I don't talk to people who don't respect me. It's hard to believe that we're still here, and maybe it's really not that hard to believe. We've witnessed shenanigans that have happened in this place. And I've been at many of these meetings, but I missed a couple of meetings where there was a lot of stuff going on, and I was watching on Zoom and couldn't quite figure out exactly what kind of shenanigans were happening, but they were not the kind of procedure that should happen in a democratic body that has any responsibility over New York City school children, okay? I'm going to just say this very quickly. I am a teacher who has counseled and spoke to many trans kids. Many of them just want to be loved. That's all, and cared for. It does not make logical sense to know that this democratic body continues to attempt to push discriminatory and inequitable policies on our city's kids. New York City is a relative safe haven for trans and queer people, and we're going to fight like hell to keep it like that. In this world, this country that we're living in right now, state and city law has dedicated itself to equitable and inclusive policies so that learning, which is a human right, and is an opportunity afforded to all our kids. 248 is inequitable. It should be rescinded. And people who have no respect for humanity should not have any government over the children of this city. And maybe you can find your eyes while you're.
Me llamo Michael Lowe, hablo como maestro, como papá de un joven trans, no binario, como judío, como hijo de un refugiado de Alemania. Hoy comienza el día de recordar al Shoah, el periodo breve de los años 40, en lo cual los nazis mataron a 6 millones de judíos por ser judíos, incluso mis bisabuelos, mi papá, tía, abuela y bisabuela tuvieron que huir a Alemania en 1939. Los Estados Unidos negaron a aceptar su barco y tuvieron que volver a Europa. Un cuarto de los pasajeros en el barco murieron, perdieron sus vidas. Los nazis mataron también a 7 millones que no eran judíos, prisioneros soviéticos, polacos, comunistas, testigos de Jehová, personas discapacitadas y homosexuales y gente trans. Hoy estamos de nuevo en un periodo de odio de la diferencia, y comienzan con los más vulnerables. Es odio sin propósito, en hebreo sería sinat chinam. Hay que enfrentar este odio, no alimentarlo.
Gracias. Alana? Alana? You're up? Elena, sorry, I'm terrible. Elena, sorry.
Hi, everybody. So this is my 15th CEC2 meeting in a row, which is a bunch more than most of this side of the table. I started coming because Daniela, thank you, was trying to ban my friend Dr. Megan Madison's books. And when we first came, there were only like 3 of us in the audience. And we said, that was also the month where they first passed 248. And we said, we're going to keep showing up every month and keep coming back, until they rescind it.
or until we voted them off. Over that last 15 months, we've seen them work to segregate schools with gifted and talented programs, disenfranchise some of these school board members who are students by allowing them to vote. We've seen them work to limit public participation in meetings by not allowing us to talk. We've seen them manipulate quorum and change, they don't have to avoid votes. We've seen them change old records from minutes from a year and a half, 2 years ago, so that they could show that they were supposedly here. We've seen them vote against life checks. Like, what the heck? Like, I'm sorry, but how are you against life checks, Todd? I'd really love to know. My personal favorite might actually be Resolution 268 on the books today about standardizing grading rubrics. I gave this speech last month and the month before, but again, a bunch of y'all weren't here. But I would note that it's impossible to standardize grading rubrics. Like, in science class alone, the grading rubric for a lab is different than the grading rubric for a test, which is different than Spanish. And so please, what we would really like is to not have school board members who don't know the difference between a grading rubric and grades, who don't show up, and who instead trust their superintendent to hire principals, who hire teachers, who do a great job teaching. And so I will say this, I spent a bunch of evenings that I weren't here. I'm almost done. Thanks. In organizing class to make certain that no matter how many billionaires fund you, whether that's Harlan Crow or the Waltons or whoever else, we all turn out, we get out the vote, and we vote you out in this next election. We promised that.
Okay, I realize you're last, but
we promised that 15 months ago. The election started on Friday, and you will not be sitting on the seat next year. That's the one you.
Okay, can you show, I'm asking you now, could you please conclude your remarks?
And for those in the audience,
over your time.
The seat went around for get out the vote. Please sign up, come canvass.
This is an example, please. Here we go. And again, I would remind speakers, please stick to your time. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the report of the president, which I'll wait until you guys are done. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the president's report. Thank you. Thank you and good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank Lower Lab Middle for hosting us. Thank you. Lab Middle, I'm sorry. That's right. See, I agree. Thank you. I'm so used to saying Lower Lab. Okay. I don't have you on the.
There's a second session.
There's a second. We've already started. Please. It's not about silencing anyone.
There's a second session.
There is a second session. The second set. Please, if you. Go ahead. You want to speak? Go ahead.
I'm not sure if I'll be applauded at the end of my comments. My name is Jeremiah Hosea Landis. I'm a New York native. I've lived here my entire life. I'm a father of 2 young children, both in school here in Manhattan. I will not resolve any number of complicated issues here. However, on the subject of women's sports, I would like to protect the right of women who are born biologically as women to have a fair environment in which to compete. Now, we all know that the fastest man in the world is faster than the fastest woman. We also know the fastest swimmer is a man. We know that the person who can lift the most weight is a man. That does not denigrate the right of women to compete and have a fair environment for competition. I have a son, I have a daughter. I would like both of them to have a fair opportunity for competition. And in sports such as boxing, for example, mixed martial arts fighting, which are two of the most dangerous sports you can participate in, we have designated weight classes to ensure fair competition. We do not allow a 135-pound man to fight a 145-pound man. two separate weight classes. We do not allow a 145-pound man to fight a 155-pound man, and so on and so forth. This is for fairness, this is for a good competition, and this is for the safety of the athletes. We have excuse me, I didn't interrupt anybody because I sat and listened to everybody speak. The fact of the matter is that we have a historical precedent with a man, a biological man, who identifies himself as a woman, having fractured the skull of his opponents in separate mixed martial arts competitions. We have Leah Thompson, who couldn't even finish in the top 400 amongst men, deciding arbitrarily that she was a woman and showing up with this dangling penis in the women's locker room and declaring himself a national champion, which is farcical. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I will now once again start the president's report. Thank you and good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank Lab Middle for hosting us. Thank you to Principal Megan Adams and her staff. Mayor Adams and Chancellor Aviles Romas announced last week investment of almost $170 million annually to support vital programs such as pre-K special education and 3K. Many of our schools received approval for additional funding to support the expansion. Can we just figure out, I think, I'm sorry, what? Was that you? Oh.
Sabina.
Oh. All right, we're gonna wait. Do we have someone that can address the alarm that's going off of the side?
Yeah, that's all I mean. I just wanted to leave.
Okay, can we please have some order? Thank you. Okay, thank you. Many of our schools received approval for additional funding to support the expansion of the class size reduction initiative. I will ask Superintendent McGuire to discuss the specifics. Thank you. This was done with the goal of an additional 20% compliance per the state law passed a few years back. Some important dates. 3K and pre-K application offers will be released on or about May 13th. G&T applications for grades 1 through 4 have opened and will remain open until May 9th. CEC elections are coming up. Voting opens up on April 25th and closes on May 13th. Candidate profiles are available on the DOE website. You can find the link on our CECD2.org homepage. There were district candidate forums on April 8th, 9th, and 10th. Links are on the DOE website, but again, you can find the link to register. Links are on the DOE website, but again, you can find the link to register on our CECD2.org homepage. We wish everyone running good luck and encourage everyone to vote. To vote, you will have to be the parent or guardian of a child currently enrolled in a New York public school, and you vote in your child's district. And if your child is in such a program, you can vote in the CCEC for CCSE, CCELL, or CCD75 as well. We have representatives here from FACE if you have any questions, or you can contact your parent coordinator. Thank you. And I also want to thank Craig for that's mostly his report as well. Next item on our agenda is the report of the Community District Superintendent, Kelly McGuire.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Good evening, council. Thanks so much for having me.
Let's hope that doesn't happen.
Sorry?
Let's hope that doesn't happen.
I appreciate that. Thanks very much for having me this evening. I'm going to report on a few things in regard to the ongoings here in District 2. I'd like to start off with a couple of celebrations to begin with. Just last year at this time, we were celebrating the Literary Magazine Award that was given out to the Salk Middle School. They have now achieved that same award in the second year in a row, and so they are going to be receiving an award at the National Council of Teachers of English. Congratulations to the Salk Middle School students, staff who put together a great publication highlighting both news of the day, opinion sections, and also some great art. We also want to honor one of our principals. Last evening, Principal Doreen Esposito was honored by Assemblywoman Rebecca Seawright up at Memorial Sloan Kettering. Doreen Esposito was nominated and received an award for Women of Distinction from Assemblymember Seawright. It was a great event, and it was a great opportunity to celebrate Principal Esposito, her family, and many of the staff with whom she works. Earlier this month, we had another spotlight visit at PS 124. PS 124 started their spotlight visit by giving us a brief history in regard to the work of Young Wing, for whom the school is named. Young Wing came to America, stayed, and eventually earned a law degree from the Harvard. Young Wing returned to China and then came back to the United States and continued to make his impact in law here in the US. The primary focus of the spotlight visit was on social and emotional learning, and the real focus on SEL was paired with the work that they're doing in regard to the arts. Over the past couple of years, under Principal Yi-Law Chan, the school has expanded their arts offerings in both music, drama, dance, and Principal Chan did a great job with her team of really pairing the importance of the arts and the impact on students' social emotional learning, and gave some great data on how it is that these programs have really impacted and supported students, and the ways in which she's seen students, especially those who have been quiet or more reserved, come out and really share some of their talents with the community. So I did want to provide a little update in regard to the New York State class size law. This law is to be fully implemented across New York City by the 28-29 school year. But earlier this month, our city leadership made an announcement in regard to several schools across the city, and both here in District 2, that would be receiving funding for additional teachers and staff to help comply with the class size law. Currently in District 2, we have about 25% of our classrooms that meet the class size mandates, but with the additional funding, we should be able to get close to 50%, if not over, of our classrooms across District 2 in compliance with new class size law. 26 of our schools across District 2 receive this funding, and we expect to hire about 127 new teachers to help us come into compliance with that class size, those new class size limits. We expect that there will be additional programs and supports that will be provided and offered for schools and new opportunities to help to bring all of our classrooms into compliance with the state class size law by the 28-29 school year. And it's just a reminder, the class size limits as per the new law are 20 students in grades kindergarten through 3, 23 in grades 4 through 8, and 25 students in grades 9 through 12. So individual schools and their communities, the 26 that are going to be receiving funding to help them come closer into compliance with the class size law, they're going to be talking more and more with their school communities to let them know how it is that this will impact their school and what will be going on.
Can I just interrupt for 1 second? The limits, do they apply to ICT classes as well? Or?
The same limits apply to ICT classes, yeah, that's right. We also want to encourage families to participate in the New York City Kids Rise program. This is something that has been a program that's been in New York City Public Schools, a partnership with the public schools and the nonprofit organization New York City Kids Rise. As a part of New York City Kids Rise, kids who are currently in kindergarten, first, second, and third grades can have their account activated. Parents can activate their child's account to get them started on a donation to a New York City Kids Rise fund that can then be converted into a 529 fund. Earlier this month, I had the opportunity to join a bunch of different community members who went out and helped to raise funds for individual schools. In District 2, we had a family that raised funds in their communities and amongst their friends and families and different foundations to raise additional funds that would go in, that went into the accounts of students at PS40. It was several thousands of dollars that would be added directly to the accounts of students at PS40. This is an opportunity that's open to all school communities if there are, this happened to be a family that had, the mother was an alumnus of PS40, and so she wanted to help to give back to the school that she loved, and so help to raise these funds that would go into the accounts of the students who are currently attending PS40 in grades first, second, third, and kindergarten. So we're going to hear more and more about that, but we just really want to encourage families to kick this off with their child if they have not signed their child up for a New York City Kids Rise account. The information can be accessed via that QR code or just by searching New York City Kids Rise. We know that this program and having funds in a child's college account really increases the rate at which children attend post-secondary options. We also know that along with the New York City Kids Rise account, that there is additional financial literacy programs that go along with that. And so that's going to be more, we're going to continue to build the financial literacy education in our schools to help to support students' access and participation in college and career options after high school. As Len mentioned, Silverman mentioned, we do have CEC elections that are coming up. They are going to be beginning this Friday for the first vote. We want to encourage all families to vote. All parents of current District 2 students, they can sign up for the option to do that and make their vote through their child's My Schools account. I want to make sure to draw attention to both the QR code and the special information that is on the New York City Public Schools website in regard to the way that we want to conduct elections here and campaigns here in New York City. We want to make sure that candidates and their supporters are engaging in positive campaigns, engaging with the campaign's dues, which are being positive, reaching out to different constituencies, attending meetings that are attended by parents of children who go to school in District 2, and also refrain from negative campaigning. But if you want more information, please take a look at that QR code, or you can search CEC elections on the public schools website. I've updated information in the past in regard to school culture and climate issues over the past few years. Specifically, I've highlighted the number of class removals and or suspensions that have been experienced in our 49 New York City Public Schools in District 2 over the past few years. I provided a breakdown here in regard to the continued decline in the number of class removals and suspensions that we've experienced here in District 2. We have really sought to build relationships with students, but most importantly, we really are seeking to improve the quality of learning and teaching that go on in our classrooms. We think that that's probably the place where we can give the biggest bang for our buck, is to make sure that every single child has a positive experience in classrooms. With that strong decline over the past few years that we see in class removals and suspensions, we do continue to have a disproportionate rate of suspension among students with disabilities and Black students in our district. And so we know that there's continued work to do in regard to help to improve the school climate and culture and reduce suspensions and removals in our classrooms across District 2. As many parents know, we're in the midst of state exam season. And so we are in the window in which the New York State exam for students who are participating in computer-based testing is well underway. So families should know when it is that their child is participating in that exam, if they are participating in a computer-based exam. Some schools have opted to do computer-based testing across all grades as per the state regulation in regard to how it is that we are rolling out computer-based testing. Grades 3 and 7 continue to be grades in which the paper test is, as a de facto decision, administered. But again, schools can schools can opt into computer-based testing for all grades. That's both for ELA and for math. We have our ELA window right now. Our math window follows soon after. And then right after that, for grades 5 and 8, we have computer-based testing in science. And all of those exams, just to reiterate, are administered via computer-based testing for science. Summarizing, we have an update coming very soon. This Thursday, tomorrow, families that have applied for a summarizing seat for their child will be notified of that seat. We have several different sites across District 2 that will be hosting summarizing this summer for grades, for both elementary and middle school grades. Those sites are PS6, PS130, PS2, MS131, Peck Slip, 75 Morton, Roosevelt Island School, PS111, and Eastside Middle. Again, the morning is an academic program that is led by New York City Public School teachers. And in the afternoon, we have a community-based organization that is partnered or hired through the Department of Youth and Community Development to provide enrichment in the afternoon, as well as all day on Friday. Getting close to the end here, I just want to remind parents, all parents who are members of school leadership teams, school-based SLTs, as well as our district leadership team, this Saturday, we are hosting a citywide conference up in East Harlem at 280 Pleasant Avenue. All families that are part of a school SLT or DLT can join this conference. We've done this the past couple of years to help learn about new initiatives that are happening in New York City Public Schools, as well as help to participate in and offering plans and ideas for the continued growth of our city schools. And with that, I thank you for your time.
Well, thank you, Superintendent McGuire. I'm going to start us off with some questions. So one of the concerns that people have had with the class size law is the quality of the teachers that are going to be hired, because I know you mentioned, I think it was 127 teachers in District 2, and I'm presuming that spread out over the course of the city, we're talking potentially thousands of new teachers. Is that correct?
3,000, I think.
3,000. Okay.
Yeah.
So my first question is, in terms of the teachers that are hired for District 2, the 127 teachers, are those hires done directly by your staff, or does that come from a pool of hirings that and distributed from on a citywide level to the districts? That's my first question.
Yeah. Hiring is done directly by schools. Schools create a hiring team that's led by the principal or administration. So they are in charge of their hiring. They can hire from people who are new to New York City. They can hire during this open enrollment, or excuse me, open market season. Teachers from one school can choose to transfer to another school. We have a lot of teachers from outside of District 2 that have already been sending resumes and information to different schools around our district in the hope of getting a position in our district.
Okay. And have you tended to see that the people applying for positions within District 2 have been more experienced teachers coming from other districts or other jurisdictions, or have they been newer teachers that, let's say, recent graduates, or people who are just starting their careers? That's the first question.
We are very fortunate in District 2. The vast majority of teachers that we hire are teachers who come with experience, whether they are coming from a different district or they are coming from charter schools or private schools. We are very fortunate to, when we have vacancies, to have multiple applicants applying for those positions.
And are some of those hires, or some of those potential hires, or people interviewing for teacher positions coming from other districts in the city that would prefer to work in District 2 as opposed to, let's say, somewhere in another borough, for example?
Historically, that has been true.
So you're finding that that's creating some competition between, let's say, your hiring goals in District 2 and let's say some other district in another area of the city?
I don't know exactly. I haven't experienced any of that. I always say there's a little bit of competition when we are trying to get the best educators for our schools.
And the reason I'm asking is I'm just wondering if there's an inference here that because we have, let's say, District 2 here, and we have a resource district, and the schools are absolutely certainly well run, that you might see some sort of disparity between districts who, let's say, are underperforming districts where you have experienced teachers coming from those districts coming into our district because they would prefer to work here, and then making things worse in another district. That's why I'm just trying to see if that's something that might potentially be happening. Not because I'm trying to insinuate anything about District 2, but are you seeing the possibility of, we're kind of getting more resources taking away from other districts?
We know how lucky we are in District 2 to have incredibly strong school leaders, to have great classrooms and families that support our schools. Over the years that I've worked, with 20 plus years that I've worked in New York City, we have been fortunate that whenever we have a vacancy, we often have many applicants for that vacancy. And I know that that is not necessarily the case in other districts.
And I agree with you 100%. This is a great district. I would want to work here if I was a teacher. You got a wonderful staff. I feel bad for some other districts because, again, they're coming from there and we're welcoming them here. But just out of curiosity, 127 of those 127 positions been filled already, or is that the number of vacancies that we currently have?
It's not the number of vacancies that we currently have. It is the number of new positions for which we are receiving funding. The hiring period really hasn't occurred yet. So those positions are vacant, but they're actually not really even in the system yet. Schools have not received their budget for the 25-26 school year. Once they do, then we'll be able to start hiring for them.
And last question from me. I'm sorry, I'm getting a lot of questions today. Is there any discussion about the loss of potential federal funding affecting any of these goals or budget allocations that we have?
Not that I've been part of.
Okay. Do any other council members have any questions?
I have comment.
Well, she raised her hand first.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You showed a slide with some data with respect to school climate and culture
Yeah.
and suspension, and you mentioned that there is disproportionality with respect to particular groups of students who are being suspended or removed at higher rates. Can you unpack any of that data? Do you have any of that to show what the actual differences are?
Yeah, I can be a little bit more specific and just say that of the students who are currently removed and or suspended or have been removed and or suspended, about half of them are students with disabilities. And so, that's an area of work that I think that our schools have work to do to make sure that we are providing the kind of classroom environment that is supportive of kids with different learning needs. Again, happy that the number has dropped, but very clear on where it is that we need to provide additional support.
So from the way the data look, if numbers have dropped for those as well?
They have, yes. Yes, the numbers of suspensions have dropped for all subgroups across the district over the year in comparison to last year and also over the past 3 years. There continues to be a disproportionate number of students with disabilities who are suspended. Students with disabilities in our district reflect about 20% of our students district-wide. Black students represent about 8% of our students district-wide, but they make up about 25% of suspensions that we've had district-wide. So again, work to do. Yeah. I'm sorry? Sure, yeah.
Could you repeat the question?
What does work look like? What are we actually planning on doing? So, we have these opportunities now with new core curricula that are coming into our district. We've been very fortunate to do that. It's offered us an opportunity to really think about not just how it is that we're rolling that out as it's printed in the curriculum, but also how it is that we're using that curricula, adapting that curricula, creating scaffolds in integrated co-teaching classrooms. How are we creating really rich learning experiences for all students so that they're all engaged, so that they're all learning and participating in the classroom. A lot of the work that we are thinking about is centered on the classroom and making sure that we know that if we put our energy and time into the classroom, that's the place where we are going to be able to make the biggest impact. We're going to be able to help students make sure that they feel tied and connected to the classroom and schools. So we have to make sure that our teachers are using instructional practices that are reaching all students.
Victor, is the mic not
Any
working?
professional development around things like microaggressions or racist theory or anything in the classroom that is outside of the curriculum that actually could help teachers address particular situations, whether it's with students of color, students with disabilities, migrant students, whatever the case is there any thought, not only on the instructional level, but on the professional development?
Well, the instruction, I mean, it's the curriculum and it's the instruction, right? Like we need to make sure that when kids ask questions or kids are in need of support, that we're responding to them with instruction that helps them to feel as though they are engaged and that they're participating. It's not just the stuff that we're teaching them, but it's the way that we're going about doing it. And so doing that in an inclusive way is the way that we're approaching that. And lots of professional development around it.
Can you tell us also how is DOE Central sort of partnering with that in terms of, particularly in terms of with students with disabilities, because I'm assuming that this disproportionality in District 2, I don't know what information you have about citywide, but to what extent does this reflect, is this a specifically District 2 problem, or to what extent is this a citywide issue?
I can assure you that it is not certainly a District 2 problem. In fact, our numbers, as I know them anecdotally, are stronger than our numbers are citywide. I will say that in the run-up to the school year, as we've been implementing these new curricula, we've been partnering and talking a lot with our central Office of Special Education. We're very happy to announce that we are going to be a part of work directly with our office in the instructional side of the Office of Special Education to provide our teachers with a series of learning around how is it that we are creating scaffolds and supports using our Wit and Wisdom curriculum, using our illustrative math curriculum. We have a team of folks coming from our office this Friday who are going to be trained in some of that work that they're going to be able to turn directly with schools. So we've got a good partner in the central office. We are also generating work directly with our district team. Over the past couple of months, I've talked a lot about the multi-tiered systems of support that we have put in place, and not to get too wonky, education wonky around that. But really what we are looking at with doing that is making sure that we are not just teaching the core curriculum. There's like several different levels of that, but we're not just teaching the core curriculum as is and ignoring anybody who might struggle to meet that work, but that we're building our teachers' capacity to provide scaffolds for teachers, for students, but they're also adding another layer of support to provide direct instruction for students who are not reading on grade level, who are working to approach grade level standards as well. So we're doing some of that work.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. There's a couple people having a conversation. You guys standing, for example, could you take it outside? I'm sorry, because there's a lot of background chatter. We're trying to hear the superintendent's report. Thank you. Superintendent McGuire, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Do we have data on the on so removals or suspensions by grade level? Because I have seen at the not at the city level, but I've seen the data at the New York State level. And one of the things that I think is probably kind of surprising to probably a lot of people at the state level is that, I mean, there's a relatively small but not insignificant number of removals and suspensions of like pre-K and kindergarten students at the state level in New York State. So I'm just wondering, do you have some information about that at the city or district?
I don't. I mean, when you look on the New York State website, and they usually run about a year behind before those data come out, you can get more granular into who's being removed or suspended.
In terms of that granular data, would we also be able to know if the kids, the students with disabilities who are being removed, are they in ICT classrooms or being set up classrooms?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, just in terms of what's reported on the state website directly, I think it is just generally reported as students with IEPs and students without. Those may be data that we could pull more in our district at the end of the year in partnership with our central team so that we can present on it.
Classroom, which is a general classroom, how many students in the classroom think, you know, different kinds of things that might impact.
Yeah.
That's a class size. So you mentioned 25% of classes in D2 are currently compliant. What's the breakdown of that in terms of middle, elementary, high units?
I don't know that right offhand. I will say that, yeah, I don't know that right offhand.
Do you know offhand what the average class size is for middle and high school in D2?
Currently in District 2? For middle and high school? Is that what you said? Yeah. Well, we only have one high school, so that is high. It's probably around 30. I mean, the classes are full in our high school. In middle school, I think it varies quite a bit. We have some schools that are at the contractual maximum, 32 kids in a classroom. We have some schools where it's smaller. So it really varies. I'm not sure that the average would be like the right data point to use, just given that we have like a certain number of schools that are within this cap of 23, and we have a certain number that are well over.
Do you have a sense of what the max enrollment is in some of the higher demand?
You remember when you questioned that?
What the max enrollment is of?
So you said there was a cap of 32 for middle schools. Do you know of any middle schools that are enrolling more than 32 kids?
No.
One other question about well, actually about summarizing. In terms of, do you know how what's the sort of the ratio of applicants to seats this year? I know in the past there were some issues with people not getting a summarizing seat. And so what does it look like this year? How are we meeting the demand for summarizing?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not entirely sure of the number of applicants right now. What we will find out after April 24th is the number of students that were not offered a seat. And so, I mean, the positive news is that over the past couple of years, And I know it's not always as timely as we would all like for it to be, but we have been able to offer a seat in summer rising for any family that needed it. It's just that sometimes families have had to wait longer, and we understand that. We're trying to like get these data out there, and also, I'm sorry, get these increase the number of seats, and also really encourage families that do have a seat to accept that seat, so that we have good information about the number of folks we can take off the waiting list if there is one.
Allison?
Daniela would probably normally ask this question, but she's probably tired of asking it about the school safety data. So I will ask it on probably a number of people's behalf, and certainly parents that come and talk to me. If you could put that slide back up for a second. One of the things that would be more helpful than just seeing the number of removals and suspensions is actually seeing the number of infractions by level that actually could merit a removal or suspension by year, so that we understand if the infraction level is staying high and simply more kids are being are not being removed or suspended relative to the infractions. So are the infractions going up? Are they staying steady? Are they going down? We don't have any basis to compare the number of removal and suspensions over this time. And that would be very helpful to see going forward.
I mean, I can tell you that the number of infractions has gone down significantly in our district. But as you point out, I don't have those data up there right now.
And that doesn't really show, doesn't help us.
Well, I'm happy to report that it's my 4th year at CC, and this is the first year that I have not helped any family get a safety transfer. And yeah, last year I helped
Something we
a
all can
kindergarten
celebrate.
family. So because kindergarten, like severe bullying was happening even at kindergarten. So I do think that this, you know, it's anecdote, but usually only the worst cases come to me, and like I have not heard anything this year. So.
So just getting back to class size law. Another concern that parents have had is that the class size law is potentially going to lead to a reduction in the amount of available seats in certain schools. So my first question is, have you seen that? Has that been reflected, for example, because just a space issue that you've got fewer, you just don't have the space at certain schools. So have you noticed any difference in the amount of available spots at schools in our district because of that? Do you anticipate seeing a difference in the coming year? And if so, is there any way to quantify it? Does the Department of Education or does District 2 put out some sort of a comparison between year on year, how many seats there were available, for example, in 2024 versus 2025, 2026, that's expected?
So an important part of this planning for the 25-26 school year is that these 26 schools, when they applied for the additional funding and therefore will meet these new class size limits, it was required that they maintain the number of seats and capacity that they currently have in their schools. There could not be an application that would result in a loss of seats or capacity in the school. I don't know what will happen in the future. We are looking at this from a citywide standpoint, or the central team that is working on this, looking at it from a citywide standpoint. They are applying sets of strategies each year in order to meet the new threshold. Next year, the threshold is 60%. But I think that plans are always being considered for the coming years, knowing that the higher the percentages that we need to make, the more and more challenging it's going to be.
And I guess and I understand more challenging, it's just common sense. There's only a certain number of seats. And if we're going up to 60%, you're going to run out of room in certain schools. Is there a way to get an estimate in terms of what schools might be nearing the space capacity in our district? So for example, I mean, look, it seems to me, just from my experience having had kids at different schools. Some schools are obviously at greater capacities. I know I forgot, we had one presentation where they actually put
There's a
that
report, yeah.
report out, but is there any way to figure that out or correlate that?
Yeah, I
with,
think there's a district planning report that the office comes in. I think they did it earlier this year. And the number that we look for is what percentage of capacity is the building at? And we say building because we have the PS 198 building, but we know that there are 2 schools in that, and the capacity at that building is over 100%. We have schools in our district that are over 100% capacity. So those are the schools where it's going to be most challenging to meet that, the new class size.
And I remember going back from my own personal experience where I remember seeing kids at one of the schools that one of my sons attended where a child was being taught in a closet. Yeah, I mean, so I hope we don't get to that point.
Less than ideal, for sure.
I hope that doesn't repeat itself. I know
Yeah.
the enrollment in district has gone down. I know we've had migrant children come in and students, temporary housing. So I get it. I'm just wondering if there's a potential crisis on the horizon that's going to need to be addressed in terms of reduction in available seats in our district.
I think that we're going to have to come up with some new strategies.
Thank you.
I have one other question.
Sure.
So I'd actually like, I mean, and maybe this is something, this is, probably not data you have today, it's a little too granular, but I'm hoping that maybe going forward, we can get this kind of data, is to look at the relationship between things like removals and suspensions and class sizes. Because I strongly suspect that as we get lower class sizes, we'll see fewer removals, we'll see an improvement in school climate. And so I hope that in the future we can try to get some data about the difference between sort of schools that are at the maximum capacity of 32 versus schools that are where classrooms are lower. Maybe that's a data point that we should be looking at when we evaluate the success of the class size.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
And Gavin's question made me think of this question, which is, when will we start to know, I mean, based with ELA scores, and when do you anticipate knowing whether or not the class size reduction has actually increased ELA scores or math scores, if there's a correlation just in standardized testing?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I'm not exactly sure when we might see the achievement levels of students change in a statistically significant way. But we're thinking about that. We recognize that we can't just have smaller class sizes for smaller class size sake. We need to really use that resource to serve and support all kids.
Do any other council members have any questions for Superintendent McGuire? Superintendent McGuire, I want to thank you and your staff. Yeah, let's get some snaps. We can get some snaps. And I do want to say this, and I know we've had some, the CC has had issues with in the past, but I can tell you from my experience having served on citywide educational bodies, District 2 is really well run, and we have a really great administration in District 2. So, and I want to thank you, the deputy superintendents. You guys do a great job too. So, thank you. Next item on our agenda is committee reports. Do we have anyone want to make a committee report? No. Okay. Yes. Oh, yes, we do.
You might want to also note for the record that Charles.
Yes. Yeah. Let me note that first. Oh,
Yeah.
Let me make it official. Wait.
Okay.
Wait, Allison. And yes, I do want to note for the chair recognizes that Councilmember Love is now in attendance.
I would like to give a report on the Academic Affairs Committee. We are looking to move forward with the establishment of a pilot program for the Math Path resolution that was passed during this term. We have a rather robust list of math liaisons at the various schools in our district that want to have participation in this Math Path program. We are also grateful to Superintendent McGuire, who has been talking with us about this program since the beginning of the school term. And we're looking forward to that future collaboration so that we can prepare for, with schools that are interested or approved or able to move forward for the 25-26 school year. And we have many parent liaisons from different schools, but not yet all of the schools. So if there are parents who are listening at home or who have heard about the program from other parents and want to pursue having an accelerated math option in their schools or have part of a pilot program in the 25-26 school year, you can reach out to either me on the CEC email or to Ellison Bowen, the co-chair of the Academic Affairs Committee. And we'd be happy to share with you what we're doing in that committee work. And that's it. I don't know if there's anything else. Nope.
Gavin, go ahead.
So I'm chair of the Students with Disabilities Committee, and I just want to make an announcement, just something to put on your calendar. We are planning to have a committee meeting soon, which will be on Zoom. So anyone can attend. You don't have to come in person. I'd like for the committee, the subject matter of the committee meeting to be the disproportionality on suspensions and removals for students with disabilities. Both, just citywide. I'm hoping to invite someone from DOE Central to so I'll ask our face liaisons and others to assist us with that, and our superintendent, and some of our colleagues from the citywide council on special education. But I'd love to invite all of you to attend. I will try to send out an announcement very soon, and hopefully in the next month or so we can convene that. Thank you.
Any other committee reports? Chairs? Okay. The next item on our agenda is discussion of resolutions. Resolution number.
I'd like to talk about the resolution that was struck from the agenda, please. No, because I did a review. Listen, I
Yeah,
love.
it's not.
Okay, can I?
You can mention it as new business.
Can I say something, please?
Sure, go ahead.
I appreciate that, I really do, thank you. Listen, time is precious and we want to get out of here on time. Our bylaws state that resolutions need to be presented and then they're put on the agenda 72 hours before, and they're on the agenda. They cannot be removed. There's nothing in our bylaws that say how things are removed. When our bylaws do not reflect the decision, or sorry, when our bylaws don't have the guidance for us, we put a Robert's rule. Robert's rule says that you cannot remove a resolution.
We might be requesting it from the school. We will find out, right? That's okay.
Okay, all right. Okay, can we please have? Okay, can members of the audience please refrain from making any comments, please? All right. Excuse me. So, officer, I believe we have some interactions going on in that direction that you may want to check out.
She does not belong on your board, period.
I'm not running for nothing, but I'm staying. Anyway,
there are any, again, we have to be out of here at a certain time. So my suggestion is you'll have the second public speaking session. The amount of time that we have is going to keep on getting reduced. Sarah, can you guys please let me have a member of our council would like to say something? Can you please?
I'd like to point out hypocrisy, if you like.
Like Sarah, fairly cool.
Cover a change that we want to make. We go to Robert's rules. Robert's rules states that you cannot just remove a resolution. You have to vote on removal of a resolution and it has to be removed by 2/3 majority. I don't understand Robert's rules. I did ask the parliamentarian. Thank you very much for FACE for getting some support for us as well on this. So it's on the agenda. It's on the website. It's there. As far as I knew, it was there, and I think that we can just vote on it. We don't have to discuss it, but it's there. So all we have to keep us running in some sort of function is to stick to these rules, and we can barely do that. We're not following bylaws. We follow one thing and try to do it. We don't discuss it. Put up the resolution to remove it, or put up the motion to remove it, and we'll vote on that. But you can't just strike it.
We've already had that, and I think the time to have discussed that would have been before on the agenda. We are now moving on to the presentation of resolutions.
Glenn, I'm
You
sorry.
can then please, if to the
Violation of
extent,
Robert's rules isn't on the agenda. I kind of just like stuck it in there, okay?
then your points are noted. I don't have Robert's rules in front of me. We're. Okay.
If you want, I Googled it. I killed a tree.
Again, all right, again, we discussed the presentation of resolutions. There was no objection that was made at that point in time.
You didn't make a motion. You stated it was struck from the record.
And the time to.
Now, I would like to make a motion that we have an outside parliamentarian added to our meetings, so because clearly we cannot.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion on the floor to have an outside parliamentarian added to our meetings. Okay, let's take a vote on that. Okay. Do we have discussion on this motion? Discussion? Okay, I'm gonna ask Councilmember Egoroff to make the call a roll vote. Oh. Okay, does anyone second that motion? Okay, so could you say the name, just so the record, just express what this motion is for.
It is a motion to have an outside parliamentarian come and observe and support our meetings by ensuring that we adhere to both our bylaws, and when our bylaws are not reflective of where questions are, to Robert's Rules of Order. This is done in many, many places. The tiny little town in Connecticut my dad lives in for town hall meetings, the first thing they do is elect a parliamentarian. You have somebody who can follow the rules. It will never be me. Robert's Rules is really confusing. Feel free to read up on it, but we need somebody. I'm sure FACE can help us, so I would really like it if that was. So that's the motion, to have an outside parliamentarian to support us, because as a group, we have difficulty making decisions, and there's like 17 lawyers on this group, and you all have mediators. We need mediators.
Okay. Are you okay taking the vote now that we have Councilmember Patel's turn? Okay. I have no idea. Do you want to wait for Councilmember Barrett to return? I'm happy to wait till she returns, but I don't think we're going to get anything else accomplished tonight. So I'm gonna.
Free's not here.
Okay, you want to?
No.
Okay, so the motion, so you can either vote yes, no, or you can abstain. This is a motion to have an outside parliamentarian for our Community Education Council. Pri Poprai is not here. Allison?
Abstain.
Daniela?
Abstain.
Gavin,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
Maud, not here, Sonal,
And I heard a, oh, yeah.
Sonal. I have, again, we have no idea exactly, but we're voting on. Okay, outside independent, yeah, okay. Sabina, I'm sorry, Jessica, okay. Sabina,
Sarah.
I'm sorry.
Sarah.
Sarah, I'm sorry. It's hard to see this, okay. Sabina is not here. I'll say yes too. Fine with me. Craig is not here. And we'll do Alexandra and Lila. Okay. I know the people. Okay.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
Okay,
yeses.
the vote,
Doesn't
the
pass.
motion does not pass. There are 6 yeses and how many noes? Well, yes. Yes, ordinary, so what I do suggest is you buy a lottery ticket since you did agree on something tonight, okay. The motion does not pass, just for members of the public, you need 7 votes to pass a motion.
Yeah, but just to be clear, we are voting on this resolution because it was not properly stricken.
We won't even have time.
We're gonna have it.
268.
Well, we're running out of time even to vote at this point, but I.
Still have an hour and 20 minutes.
Okay. It's not exactly true. We have to leave early. We cannot stay here till 10 o'clock.
I was
just so you
thinking
know.
it's a nice day. We can sit outside. I mean, we can do
Okay,
it.
well, all right. Moving on. Let's discuss resolution number 269. Can we discuss that one? Does anyone want to speak on resolution number 269? All right. Okay.
Well, I'm going to come to 268 anyway. Like I said before, I think the idea of a grading rubric is just is absurd. It's sort of this, it's a fantasy. You can't implement this kind of grading rubric. I mean, we have 80,000 teachers in the New York City public school system. Just imagine the professional development that would go into training them in a rubric and then following up on that. And we don't want our, sort of every bit of the classroom instruction to be dictated by a rubric. That would not be good for our kids. It would not be good for anyone. So that's all I'll say about that, because I made some comments about that last time. Regarding the regarding the resolution to rescind 248, again, I think we're going to keep bringing it until it passes, because it's important that we rescind this resolution. It's a stain on our council to have this on the books. It's an insult to our families. And if there's something we know and we teach our children about bullying, about harm, it's that when you do wrong, you fess up to it and you apologize for it and you make amends for it. And so this rescind resolution 48 is part of the process of making amends for the harm that this council has done to the community. So that's why I put this forward, and that's why I think we should vote for it.
Anyone else on 269? Okay, resolution number 270. Anyone want to be heard on resolution number 270? Okay, resolution number 271. Does anyone want to be heard on resolution 271? Okay, on resolution 271, I'd like to say something. I've never seen a resolution in my entire life as I've seen resolution number 271. I don't know if this was put together by someone who is connected with one of the people running against one of the candidate who is prominently mentioned in resolution number 271. It sounds like it's literally a campaign piece that was put together in opposition to Andrew Cuomo's mayoral race. I don't even know what to make of it, quite frankly, looking at this. I think this is not really about concerns about mayoral control. What it really is it's a concern that maybe Andrew Cuomo has a real chance of becoming the next mayor of the city of New York. And if you have opposition to Mayor, Andrew Cuomo becoming a mayor to the city of New York, I suggest you don't vote for him or vote for another candidate. But putting a resolution together like this and as part of, and then trying to tie it into protect harassment of DOE staff and students under mayoral control is just, it's just so over the top. And not to mention, it's also literally like, I don't know, 7, 8 pages of just complaints relating to different allegations and different cases that may have been pending. So I think this is one of the worst resolutions I've ever seen by District 2. And you guys may think 248 is bad, but I'm telling you, this one is just horrific. So I will be voting against this. Anyone else have any discussions on resolution number 271? Okay.
Well, so, yeah, I want to say things about resolution 271. So it's just the fact that we have this system, which is unique to New York City and Yonkers and all municipalities in New York State, where we have a mayor who has sole control over over the public school system. And we know that the New York City public school system is the largest public school system in the country by far, with 1 million students. And we have one person who has the sole discretion basically to hire and fire the chancellor and set policies for these 1 million students, 80,000 teachers. And so I think it's only natural that we should expect some greater oversight over this person, regardless of who the person is. But I think it's some recent issues surrounding our current mayor, surrounding the person who might be our next mayor, who have shown themselves to be unfit for that office. And they have shown themselves to be unfit to be the leader of the public school system or even to be in a classroom. I mean, if you want someone who has like multiple cases of unwanted sexual conduct in a classroom with your child, I mean, that's Andrew Cuomo. I mean, it's documented. Everything in this resolution comes straight from the New York State Attorney General's report and also from the report of the U.S. Department of Justice Civil Rights Division and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York. I mean, this is not stuff that came out of thin air. This is a documented history of sexual abuse by this person who may be the next person to be our public school system. So I think it's natural that we as a council, as people who are supposed to be here speaking up for students, speaking up for their families, call that out. Call that out. And I mean, I just think that this is not something we can be silent about. We know that the current mayor has a number of moral, ethical, legal failings. But I mean, I think that we need a system where there is greater citizen family oversight over the public school system. And that's not what we have. So that's what this resolution is.
So I think it's pretty clear just from your comments in introducing this resolution and in the comments that you just made, that you're putting forward this resolution to me again seems more as if you're campaigning against Andrew Cuomo being mayor of New York. And I think that that's pretty clear. You've said he's unfit. I mean, you've made that clear. And you've kind of diverged again away from mayoral control, except to the extent that it's possible that Andrew Cuomo will be the next mayor. And that's why you want this resolution, because you think he's unfit. I think what your comments are really more of a political nature. I think, the voters of the city of New York should be the ones making the decision who the next mayor is. I appreciate your comments. I'm sure many people agree with you. I have my own opinions. That's fine. But I don't think it should be part of a resolution that the District 2 Community Educational Council is voting on. And it's just inappropriate to try to, make a political case against the candidate, because, and I suspect it has other things to do with rather than just the allegations that have been raised here, that it may have other things to do with positions on, accelerated learning or G&Ts or a different approach to schools as opposed to some of the other candidates that may be running. So I think the comments that you made have really kind of opened the door and just shown that this is really more personal and has nothing really to do with the specter of mayoral control or against mayoral control. In general, it's more about who our mayor is and what you believe the qualifications are morally, ethically, intellectually about who that mayor should be. So that's why, again, I think this is a terrible resolution. I think it's political. I think it's really just something that's so over the top, and it shouldn't even be voted on by this council.
Thank you, Len, for your very extensive comments on that. I don't think this is political in nature at all, or has anything to do with who the mayor is or is not. You are more than welcome to vote for Cuomo come the time. The clear ask in this resolution is specifically with respect to the DOE reiterating and reinforcing and supporting its sexual harassment policies in light of the current state of the world we live in. So you can read this all you want as some kind of political manifesto against Cuomo. If you look at the Fairfield clauses and you look at what this CEC is being asked to do, I really hope you'll vote yes on this.
Any other comments on this resolution? And that is the last resolution that we will be discussing right now. Next thing item on our agenda is our second public speaking session. Can I have the list and see how many people we have?
I have 4 more names. I just need to put them on that list.
Okay, let's see.
If there's another.
We'll put 4 names down. So now we gotta go for a minute. I can't go. We're running out of time.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that'll bring us. Oh, no, I have. All right, so we're gonna go in there.
1 minute, then we can try to vote.
I'll wait for. Change the. Based on the number of speakers, around 20 speakers, I think we're going to limit the second public speaking session to a minute per speaker. Now, as you've seen from the first time, we did let people go slightly over, and people were okay with that, except when somebody was speaking that you didn't agree with, then it got a little noisy in here. But we'll try a minute and we'll see how that works. There's also a request that somebody needs to leave to allow to go first. It has to go in the order of the sheet unless everyone agrees. So, okay. So our first speaker here, okay.
Annabelle.
Yeah, is Annabelle Ruggiero. And then after Annabelle, we have Joe Patel. And then we're gonna have Shannon P.
Hey, Charles. Good to see you. How's Craig doing? Did Sabina and Maud really just leave after the idiots of this board got a bunch of elected officials and faced to scold you for your dumb maneuvers? Like, you guys got Dan Goldman to sign that letter. That guy twiddles his thumbs while he's sending bombs to genocide the other world. On the Dan Goldman scale, your behavior is worse than bombing children. Preet Bokari, Daniela Egorov, Allison Bowen, Charles Love, Sabina Surinise, Maud Marin. Each of you had these meetings early. Each of you are a disgrace. You have failed your students, your children, our future. Your only path to redemption is to resign now and withdraw from all elections. Seize the boards or otherwise. And my boy, I'm sorry to cut you again.
Next, we have Joe. And then we're gonna have Shannon P. and then J.H. Landis.
I have spoken in the previous session in the name of Stephanie Turner. I am a female athlete and I again support Resolution 248 and oppose 269 and 270. For a parent who is fighting for her child against the trans mafia, please read Lisa Schultz's book, The Trans Train. And at a previous meeting, Sarah on this panel, who's sitting on the right, Gavin, insulted people who are not from New York City. I'm raised in New York, but who isn't? Superintendent McGuire sitting over there, who spent the majority of the meeting biting his nails and sucking his pen. He's wearing the yellow tie for those on Zoom. And his wife or possible peer, Judith Kafka, who leads the Mark School.
Okay, look, you do not have a right.
Probably where your
Okay,
morals are.
you do not have, okay.
Money might probably read where your morals are. There's an executive order that says biological males are competing in girls' school sports. You will lose billions. You'll lose billions if you do not comply with the executive order. And my final comment is, it is the failure to recognize biological reality that is the huge reason why in New York City public education is quickly getting a reputation as the in the world.
Okay. Please, let's refrain from attacks. All right. Thank you. Next, we have Shannon P.
I have the dubious distinction of identifying as a patriot while being on the left. I believe in the values that I see this country should have, the right to engage in the democratic process, the right to have a chance at success, and the right to self-governance. What the hell just happened? What just happened? This is a disgrace to American values. This is a disgrace to democracy. We have people leaving in cowardice to avoid a quorum. Those of you who are still here should be proud of yourself. And those of you who are still here, why the hell are these people still on the council? I'm a patriot. That's not easy to say in front of my leftist colleagues, believe me. But when it comes to the values of this country and engaging in the democratic process, what the fuck are our elected officials doing? That is my question. And I don't normally swear up here, so you gotta understand how upset I am to see this happening. I might not agree with everything the opposition, like Joe says, but you heard me cheering in the back for the man who came on last and spoke against my side. Because I believe people should be heard by elected officials. Why the hell are they still on the council?
J.H. Landis, and then that'll be followed by, it looks like Michael Giovanella. Do you have J.H. Landis here? Okay. And Michael Giovanella.
I know, it sounds like they are yelling, but it's because it's too loud.
Yeah, cool. You gotta ask Victor. I don't have any control over the mic.
Okay. We need that.
Oh.
This mic is very loud, so I'm not trying to.
Oh, could you hold on 1 second?
Yeah.
Is there, we'll just lower that just a tad.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you can hear me, good. Okay, so I'm a D2 parent. I got 2 kids, one's trans, one's not. Just want to say thank you to everybody here because you're trying to keep all kids safe. That's cool. And I want to say a special thank you to the people who don't even have kids or even want kids. Thank you for fighting for them because they're doing even more. Len, I want to absolutely thank you because I've only been to 4 of these, and you are the only person who has been here all the way to the end of each of those 4 meetings at that table. So thank you. Now, I'd love it if you could explain something to me, because I was just looking up Robert's rules in I have a pocket computer. And what I want to, it seems to me that you can actually make a lot of the rules that you want to make and a lot of the bylaws that you want to make. So you just said you couldn't pass a resolution because you didn't have 7 votes, but if you want to change that to a simple majority, you can put those in the bylaws. So what I'm trying to figure out, you keep referencing Robert's rules, I know nothing about them, but you can change them as needed. So can you explain a little bit of that? Shed some.
It's not a question and answer session, but thank you for your comment, and time's up, but.
Thank you.
Comment. Thank you. Was that Michael or was that your? Okay, Michael Jardella. Oh, that was you. Okay, yeah. It was her fault. Oliver Warfeld. And then we're gonna have Katie Cox.
I'm Oliver. I'm a trans man, and I've led inclusive design work at companies such as Google and Peloton. And I want to start off by asking you to think about a time that you were excluded, about how deeply you felt that hurt. That pain and the fear lingers. You can probably feel it in your body right now if you really wanted to. I grew up playing sports, and I was absolutely in love with men's lacrosse. When I was 14, after a scrimmage, I was pulled aside by the head coach and the athletic director. They told me I could no longer play on the boys' team. I was devastated. I was forced to watch from the sidelines as the same boys I called teammates played for the state championship. I never got to play that sport again. If you think exclusion in sports doesn't matter, you're wrong. Sports are much more than games. They're joy, identity, camaraderie, belonging. I didn't have the agency to speak up about the impact it had on me back then, but I'm here now calling on you to do the right thing and rescind resolution 248. Please don't steal these trans kids' joy like they took mine. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. I'm Dr. Katie Cox. I'm an educator, an anthropologist, a voter, a person blessed to love and be loved by my trans family and friends. I could speak to you as a person and feel free to empathize with the families directly and indirectly harmed by your actions. I could speak to you as a voter in a rapidly deteriorating democracy and appeal for you to follow procedure and show up for the constituents who elected you and to whom you're accountable. I could point out, as a PhD in anthropology, how breathtakingly unscientific and ahistorical the arguments underpinning Resolution 248 are. But you've heard all of those arguments over and over and over and over and over. So I'm choosing to speak to you tonight as a teacher. Whatever the curriculum, whatever the context, the most important thing I could hope to teach, and the most important thing any of us here can hope to learn, is the courage and curiosity to change our minds. Every person in this room once believed things later learned not to be true. We've all made choices we regretted in hindsight. If you previously supported Resolution 248, you don't have to keep supporting it. Charles, Allison, Daniela, Leonard, thank you for making eye contact with me. I'm asking you today only to do what we ask of every single student in this district. Listen, learn, do better next time.
Okay. So next we have Achilles Gooden, then we're gonna have Michael Loeb, and then it looks like, well, you said Omar Verna has left?
Omar's out.
Okay. So do we have Achilles? Please.
I won't be facing the people up front because this next speech is for the people in the audience, especially the trans children. As a trans adult who was once a trans kid, I have to say that I love being a native New Yorker, and I always will. I love this city. I just don't always love the people in charge of it, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. So for the trans kids in the audience, and in the spirit of keeping New York City weird, I will quote an Olivia Rodrigo song known as Hope You're Okay. And if you know the lyrics, you can sing along. This is for the trans kids in the audience. Address the letters to the holes in my butterfly wings. Sing along. Nothing's forever. Nothing's as good as it seems. And when the clouds will iron out and the monsters creep into your house and every door is hard to close. Sing along this part. And I hope you know how proud I am you were created with the courage to unlearn all of their hatred. God, I hope that you're happier today, because I love you, and I hope that you're okay. This is my message to all trans youth in the audience and all trans elders and educators and everyone who stands to keep New York City weird. Say it with me. Keep New York weird. Keep New York weird. Keep New York weird. Keep New York weird.
Thank
Keep New
you.
York weird.
Michael Lowe.
I left District 2 for District 19 in Brooklyn. It was before your times, 2002 to 2004. I taught at PS 11, and the reason I left was not because of my colleagues, not because of the students. They're all wonderful, but the parents were often unwelcoming and not collaborative. So I hope that that's not you guys, but that was my experience. You all are trusted servants. You have a privilege and a sacred responsibility that you've been elected to do. How dare you treat it as anything less than that sacred responsibility? How dare you play games with our children? Stop messing around.
Looks like Kristen Clifford. And then after Kristen, we're gonna have Angelo Cusimano.
Hi, my name's Christine Clifford, and I am the proud mom of 2 trans kids, and I really do not want to be here right now. I am so sick and tired of these people. I am. And Len, my friend just said, CD, don't try to convince anybody. But Len, I really want you to reconsider your vote. I really want you to not abstain. I want you to understand that the fixation on trans folks, this so-called questioning from 248, it starts with transphobic language and it ends with people looking inside the underwear of kids. That is what happens with transphobia. I am not kidding, okay? Please recognize the ugliness of this resolution and how it is being cynically used by some people to gain power and to try to eradicate trans people. I want to say thank you to all the people that keep showing up for our kids every month. Thank you so much. I literally, I don't know what to say. Thank you guys. It's shameful that this resolution is on the books anywhere in New York City, anywhere. And thank you again to the Superintendent McGuire. I really appreciate you being here all the time and your support. And you know what, Len, we're not worried about the new teachers. We trust Superintendent McGuire is gonna hire good teachers in District 2. Thank you.
Angelo Cusimano. Do we have Angelo? Okay, Shane Allen.
That's quite the act to follow. Whew. Yeah. I wrote this on the train over. Another love song to Maud. Maud, you say you want to have a serious conversation while you've been checked out for months. More concerned about keeping your seat on this board than actually serving it. Or holding a shameful panel where zero curriculum conversation occurred. In fact, no conversation was had. Instead, you explored a trans person's story who regretted their decision. Someone from Kansas who immediately launched into a play-by-play narration of their adult transition, totally inappropriate for a public school conversation on curriculum. Let kids be kids. This is not about sports. This has never been about sports. It's about denying a person's very right to exist. Sports merely happens to be your cynical attempt to make bigotry more palatable, like a fucking glass of wine, Maud.
Could you wrap it up, please?
New York is better than this. It has to continue to be better than this. How does the saying go? You save one person, you save a world. We need to agree that a human life, a child's whole existence, outweighs individual bigotry in any form. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, so next we're gonna have Tara, and then we're gonna have Mark. Tara?
Hi, Tara again. So I'm a D2 parent. I have 2 kids in District 2. I don't know if I said that when I came up before. This really feels like a whole red herring thing going on here, and it feels like there's an alternate agenda. And it's very insulting to me as a parent. These are schools that I care about. I grew up in the city. I grew up going to New York City public schools. I'm very invested in them, and it's really insulting. And the only way that I can see that this was able to happen was through fooling people and through very low voter turnout, because parents are uneducated about voting. They don't even know what a CEC is. So I really hope that we can get more parent involvement. And I can't imagine that parents are going to be happy with what's happening here. The fact that you're not making eye contact with me. I'm a very normal parent. I'm not an activist. I'm here as a parent. And you're not looking at me in my eyes, in my face. And I don't understand that. What's that about? What am I doing that's insulting here? I really can't understand it. I'm a straight, white, normal woman with a uterus. I have 2 kids. I'm educated. Like, what do you want? What do you want from me? I grew up here. I'm a native. I'm a citizen. Why would you look at me in my face? I can't comprehend that. It's so insulting as a parent. It is so insulting. And there's some alternate agenda going on, and it's so clear. Okay. But please, if my children did that, I would give them a time out.
Could you? Mark P.
Hi, my name is Mark. I've been pretty loud this whole time because I'm disgusted by the behavior of these 3 and now 2 people who are sitting at that table one of them ran away. I don't know, they were scared. I would like to say that this entire meeting, I have seen these two on their, looking down at something on the, probably on the phone, or reading something, I don't know. I've only ever seen them look up or pay attention to something. Hey, you pay attention. I've only ever seen them pay attention to people who are on their side. I've seen them listen to you. Don't put your goofy ass sign down. If you want to represent this, if you want to represent the district, get off your phone and pay attention to what people are saying to you. If you are going to take this seriously, then resign. I don't know why you're here if you aren't going to listen to anybody. Look at me. Hey, I know you can hear me. Anyways, both of you hear it out. You might tell me if you're going to grace me with a response, but I doubt that you will. You're going to scratch your nose. Okay. Well, I see we're going to be very immature here. Okay. Play on your phone. I don't know. You're playing Candy Crush or some shit. Looking on Instagram. Do your job.
Next, we're gonna have Hannah, followed by Jules and Alyssa.
Ignore a student in your own district.
Guys, please keep it down. Okay.
Hi, I'm
Hold on. You're so right, but don't worry. We're like a through line. It's gonna be beautiful.
how do I, I'm gonna break it. Okay. I'm Anna, my pronouns are they, them. I'm a born and raised New Yorker and a former D2 student. I was watching the panel during the presentation on language access and the ELL candidate is literally on their phone, odd. Now they're gone, a chronic problem this side. You're on your phone so much, so I'm wondering what could be so important. If you were taking notes, I'd love to see them, but if you're not, are you texting Craig because he's not here and he feels left out? Are you playing Candy Crush? Allison is right next to you, but maybe you're doing live commentary with each other. Are you catching up on the latest New York Post headlines? Are you keeping the parents who don't come because we're supposedly so scary up to date somehow? Are you coordinating who on the panel on this side leaves next? I think it happened already. Maybe you have moms for the pen pals to catch up with on Facebook. Or you might just be looking at a blank screen because you're so committed to this whole act. You too. Claude, of course you're gone. Get your priorities straight. You are a member on a community education council, and you are showing that community is not at all important to you. Thank you to our champions. Voting opens Friday. Tell everyone.
Jules?
All of that. On the side that we're doing fact checking school, so we're going to be school in here. Everything in schools is political, so when y'all say blah, 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 that's political. Keeping things business as usual is political. Changing things is political. Literally everything in schools is political. Sorry, no Cuomo. Just kidding. It's my case. A lot of the issues that you talked about do also impact queer and trans students. So, for example, you talked about absences. More than a third of students routinely miss at least one day of school per month because they feel unsafe. That's the national survey. But again, if you care about absences, you need to care about trans kids. Discipline. Superintendent here mentioned about Black and Indigenous and Latinx kids are disproportionately suspended. So are and so are queer and trans students who are trans students who are more than twice as likely to be suspended for like similar, for again, that who have less victimizations. So funding, good fact there, only 7%, sorry, of federal funding comes from the federal government and for low income, also I guess the IDEA. Neurodivergent children are much more likely to be queer and or trans. And when we talk about kids with IEPs, when we talk about autistic kids, those are again all trans issues. But we know that you don't actually care about that. And so I'll end as an educator of over 20 years who has, again, as we know, an advanced certificate in gay shit from NYU. Learning about gender does not teach kids how to be trans. Being around trans people doesn't teach you how to be trans. I'm around trans people all the time, and I'm not a trans person, and I don't look normal, but I'm also not a trans person. Right? Anti-Semitism is not a catch-all for things you don't agree with, and we shouldn't care about kids' genitalia because that is creepy and gross and dangerous, and there's really no other way otherwise to do it. And also, we're talking about K-8 schools where I thought all sports were co-ed. They're not funded. You don't see worried about trans boys. And someone earlier introduced an idea of like going by weight. Great, then go by weight. I mean, that has the horrific consequences.
Can you wrap it up, please?
And it's easier to measure someone's weight than to look at their genitalia because again, it's creepy.
We have Alyssa.
Again, that's hard to follow. I wasn't planning to speak because, but then I got really mad, so here I am. I'm the mom of a trans boy. He's a junior in high school, and we've been I'm looking for colleges for him. And at first I was like, okay, he can go to college in like maybe 25 states. And then it started to be like, okay, he can go to like the Northwest or the Northeast, maybe California. And then, okay, let's just stay like around New York and Massachusetts. And then it was like, okay, let's maybe not try for all of New York State, just the safe parts. And now I thought New York City was really safe, but now we're like, okay, what about Canada? And I was so happy that I was raising my kid here, and the school system has been so good for him. And now this is happening, and I think there's something in. Please do the right thing, stop bullying kids.
Over there. Okay. Do we have anyone else that signed up? Anyone else signed up that we don't have the list here? It's not on our list. Okay. Next, we have the vote on the resolutions. We have a dispute. I'm not going to call resolution 268. I'm only going to call resolutions 269, 270, and 271. Your objection is duly noted. I'm not going to call resolution 268 for a vote. We've already had a discussion on that. Your objection is duly noted, and I await, you know. Sure. No, go ahead. Fine. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. So the question is, and I just want to clarify what the question is. So at the beginning of the meeting, you agenda item that was already published, and was the agenda voted on when you did that agenda item? That is my question. Is the agenda voted on? Okay. So in reviewing your bylaws, there is nothing that talks about removing an agenda. But there is something in your bylaws that says that whatever isn't covered in your bylaws, you will refer to then in Robert's rules. So I looked up Robert's rules. Can the meeting chair remove an agenda item unilaterally? And Robert's rule says no. You need 2/3 vote. Well, we know that you cannot have a 2/3 vote. You need to have at least 7 votes on your council. So that's just my piece of advice to the council based on the question that I was asked.
Okay, I will abide by that discussion. That's fine. If we can have a vote on resolution number 268, that's fine. But it's fine. I'm not taking it personally. Okay, so I make a motion to approve resolution number 268, a resolution calling for the New York City Department of Education to standardize grading rubrics across schools. And does anyone second that motion? Yes. Okay, that motion is seconded. Okay, why do you call it?
No.
No?
I don't want anybody to get
Yeah,
pissed with
because
my
people are gonna get
accent.
upset.
People
Okay,
get
it's all
upset
right.
with my accent.
Okay,
so-
Pri is not here. Allison,
Yes,
Daniela,
yes.
Gavin, Charles, Maud is not here. Sonal, Jessica, Sarah, Sabina is not here. I vote yes. Greg is not here. Alexandra is not here, and Lila
Not here.
is not here. So the,
One, two, it doesn't pass.
what's the vote? What's the tally?
5 no's, 3 yes.
Five, the motion does not pass by a vote of 5 to. And just so people do know, so that you all know in the audience, we do still have a quorum, just so everyone knows. Good, good. Just making sure you know that before you go nuts. Okay. I'd make a motion to approve resolution number 269 entitled Resolution to Affirm CEC2's support of NYCPS guidelines to support transgender and gender expansive students and rescind resolution number 248. Does anyone second that motion? Okay, Gavin seconds the motion. Okay. Pri Voparai is not here. Allison. Daniela.
No.
Gavin. Charles. Maud is not here. Sonal. Jessica. Sarah. Sabina is not here. I will abstain. Craig is not here. Alexandra and Lila are not here. What is the vote?
4-3 doesn't pass.
Vote does not pass by a vote of, the motion does not pass by a vote of 4-3. One abstention. Thank you. Resolution, I make a motion in favor of resolution number 270 entitled Resolution in Opposition to Donald Trump's executive order ending so-called radical indoctrination and in support of culturally responsive and sustainable education. Does anyone second this resolution? Gavin seconds the resolution. Okay, Pri,
Not here.
Allison,
No.
Daniela,
No.
Gavin, Charles, Sonal, Jessica, I'm sorry, Sarah, Sabina's not here. I vote no. Craig is not here. Alexandra and Lila not here.
4-3 no.
Vote again does not, the motion does not pass by a vote of 4-3. There are no abstentions. Okay, resolution, next resolution is resolution number 271 entitled Resolution Urging NYCPS to Protect Against Harassment of DOE staff and students under mayoral control. Does anyone second this motion? Gavin seconds again. Okay. A miscount? I'm sorry. I'm just going by what she's telling me.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm not counting. I mean, you want me to count, do the vote, and call the roll?
4 by 4.
Okay, it's 4-4. Okay,
Because nobody
I
abstained.
apologize. It's not, there's not, I'm just going by what I'm told. I'm counting. All right, so I will make sure to count this next one, okay? And this is not a conspiracy, please. All right, next, the next vote. So we have a motion. Gavin has seconded the motion of resolution to approve resolution number 271. Pri is not here. Allison.
No.
All right. Daniela.
No.
Gavin. Charles. Maud is not here. Sonal. Jessica. Sarah. Sabina is not here. I vote no. Greg is not here, and our student members are not here. Wait.
By 4.
I didn't go to District 2. You can't blame me. I went to schools outside of District 2, so.
4 by 4.
Okay, the motion does not pass by a school. Had I gone to District 2, I would have gotten that right. The motion does not pass by a vote of 4-4. No abstention. Next, we have approval of minutes. These minutes are probably, are they in our packets?
Yes.
All right, well, I'm gonna just make a general, are we all in favor of, does anyone have any changes that they'd like to make? Yes. Okay, could you specify specifically, would you like to state? Okay,
We won't get
okay.
7 votes the same.
It's fine, it's okay because we're not gonna pass it, we don't have, well, it's fine. Okay, and also just please make sure you include Craig on that. Okay. Okay, all right, and, okay. Okay, and I presume that that includes we're not gonna,
We can do.
we can't do a motion, it doesn't matter because we don't have, normally I would go, are we all in favor of the minutes being approved, but we can't do it now. Because we don't have the vote, so it doesn't matter, we're not gonna approve. But normally you don't have to have a motion, we've only done that because of you, but if you wanna have a motion to approve the minutes, it's fine. Let's make a motion to approve the minutes. And look, can we do it all at least a minute together instead of one, because otherwise we're gonna be here. We're gonna be here for too late, okay. So we have so all in favor, all right, so we're gonna go one by one roll call to approve the minutes from January, February, and March.
Okay.
And you did wanna make some proposed changes, but we can wait, okay. Bree Beaupre,
Not here.
Allison,
Yes.
Daniela, yes, Gavin, Charles. Maud is not here, Sonal. Jessica. Sarah. Sabina.
Not
is
here.
not here. I will actually, you know what? I will actually vote, no on this one. Yeah, only because I want to see what your proposed changes are. It's fine. All right, it's
Okay.
it's not, so,
We need to be.
all right, so, all right. New business, does anyone wish to bring any new business up? Go ahead.
So right now we're at we're going to like our fourth month, no approved minutes. But anyway, I just wanted, one thing I want to bring up as new business and, is that resolution 269 and resolution 260. Oh, sorry. Resolution 269 is resolution to rescind resolution 248. I know that we needed 7 votes for the bylaws and state law to pass that. But I do want to add, I just want to note that the vote today was 4 in favor of rescinding resolution 248, 3 against and 1 abstained. We actually had a majority of the council that is present on this stage vote to rescind that resolution. So I think that's something. And thank you. We will continue.
Can you please step back? I'm sorry, do not touch the equipment. Thank you.
Fighting. Thank you.
Any other business? Okay. Motion to adjourn our calendar meeting. All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed?
To be honest.
Okay, now we have a working business meeting. I'd like to call the working business meeting to order. Yes, we're going as fast as we can.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. No.
Okay, can we call roll call? Bree Beaupre, not here. Allison.
Here.
Daniela is here, Gavin is here, Charles is here, Maud is absent. Sonal is here. Jessica is here. Sarah stepped out, we'll say she's here. And Sabina is excused. And I'm sorry, Sabina is absent. I'm here and Craig is excused. And also Bree is noted as excused. Well, okay. All right, we have a quorum present. All right.
Treasurer's report. She's not here.
Treasurer is not here. School liaison updates, anyone? New business, any new business? Okay,
Adjourn.
motion adjourned, motion to adjourn, adjourn.
I'll take one.
Okay. This is the attendance for the people meeting. This is superintendent.
Yeah, I'll put this in. Is all the sheets?
Present or absent for this meeting?
First of all.
No, I just
Yes.
couldn't hear you because the kids were yelling.
We noted that Chaz appeared.
But
when he
he's counted
appeared.
present
He's
or
counted
absent?
present. He was present for the votes, yeah. And you know what, honestly, if you, oh, miss, no. If you miss, oh.
To actually take the city seriously. No, you were 2 hours late. That's absurd. So late. No. But I know that your job is not to be late. Your job is not to be. If you can't represent the city effectively, then just resign. You want to be your phone.
Almost over. 2 more months.